some items that would be removed for some
Police officers and things like that are exempt.
are exempt from that
Yeah.
role, so. Alrighty, so with that, I think we just get into the meat and bones of it with the board members. Is it option one or was it option two?
Or some other, I don't want y'all to feel like you're locked in either. Is
Yes,
y'all
you
hearing,
absolutely
you do what
can.
you want.
Well, true option one is gone.
Yeah, true option one from the reducing down, so I've got a.
If you may, I don't know if you're intentionally putting the light on there.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's much better. Thank
So,
you.
You don't like being blinded? Come on.
so,
Should we, could they, like, could you, I don't know, present a synopsis of what it is that you came up with and where you had, for the sake of people, for example, an audience who haven't had a chance to read the agenda packet?
So I actually went through today and notated the difference between option two and option three as far as each individual line item and what the difference was. And then there was one little more detail as far as where I kind of came to where we are for that. I've actually got the general fund stuff from staring at this for probably 6 or 7 hours and trying to figure out what to do with it.
Oh,
But,
I was thinking, you know, the highlights that were.
well, see, where I changed line item, so, I mean, one of the big line item changes was the $56,000.90, give or take a few dollars, on the Curtis contract, which was 100% eliminated. We as the CDD are 100% liable for that, or whatever, so that's why the full amount is there, and we can count the full amount against the budget. After, and I had a whole thing written up, I was gonna, whatever, but it is what it is.
Can I ask though, while we did get rid of Curtis, we are looking at putting other security in place, so.
Right, but that
I
would
didn't
come
take that
out
out of my budget because we still need the budget for,
it would be a capital expense at that point, so our budget is line item expense, correct me if I'm wrong like this.
yeah, it could, well, either which
And
way.
we budget for it.
You can put it in your budget, or you can put it as a capital expense. If you've got it in the budget, then that will obviously go away, and then next year you can put that towards your.
Right.
I do anticipate with security there would be like a subscription fee. I would imagine like a few $100s, whatever, each month, maybe potentially.
If I remember from the last, with IT, I think it was approximately $600 to $800 a month.
yes, it's not.
Right.
It was gonna be, if we went the other option, which, have yet to be provided at full quotes, after time, you know, I met it about, I got nothing, it's kind of.
So going from your first, what you adopted in May, to the option one, which is the one that the chair worked together for field expenses, 30,000 was dropped because of the security line item. So that was one of the bigger drops. And then when I look at the clubhouse expenditures, the other lowered amount that I see in here, I'm just going through line by line with it.
Well, one of those was facility management. I mean, it was about $5,200-ish. That was from changing from having different staff to having the amenity management contract with EMS. Not only was that a savings to the community, it was also an additional staffing to the community. The events that they've done and everything that GMS has provided thus far has been amazing. Throw that out there, that not only are we better off than we were, we also have a great staff that's here and has a cost savings to the community at the same time.
Yeah, and the only other one with that was lowering the special events to 18,000. You did have in your prior one for 25,000. So that is mainly where you saw the savings with on Glenn's budget. Essentially, that was lowering by.
And I lowered mine to 10 because my thought was the HOA has money and really should be doing events, or I feel like they should contribute to, I'm not sure why the CDD would take on the full responsibility. I think there's money that we can tap from the HOA for the extra 15,000, especially since we just gave them 26,000 back from Curtis. I mean,
It doesn't mean that they kind of like the Curtis contract, we're still responsible for 100% of the item. I see where you're coming from, that's actually, that's very smart. I'm not thinking about that, going through that, as bucket to cut from, on that. But,
Yeah, and I think, in talking with Jason and Jared, the recommendation was have them do the same thing that we did with Curtis, where they pay the CDD,
Yeah.
so that we have it in our bucket.
Right.
But I think that would be an easy area, I mean, I'm not sure, other than, management fees, what HOA's paying for, so I think they should have plenty of money available to help, I think.
That's something that can be brought up at the budget meeting next month, to go through with the potential anticipation. I will say one of the largest increases we've had, that to be able to bring up to the community for transparency's sake, is the pool cleaning fee. That went from approximately $10,000 a year by a company that wasn't the most commercial company, to a true commercial company, and it's $27,000. And that was after 3 bids, that we received. They weren't the cheapest, but they were by far the best with the technology they were able to introduce, the pool of being able to automatically, every few minutes, adjust chemicals as the computer system that they have, the injection system that they have.
So probably prolong the life of the pool that we're going to be having, because it could have been, damaged by the other company, something.
So just looking, I'm comparing the budgets again here, just from, so you've got your first budget, and now you're looking from the budget that you approved in May. Janelle's new budget actually shows a decrease of about 48,000 in just your field expenditures. So the field expenditures was more for, so your contingency was lowered from 18 to 15, special events 25 to 10, so that's 15,000 there.
And then it is the maintenance were lowered to 1,000 from 5,000.
Correct. So that's where Janelle focused on a lot of her savings were in the field expenditures, and landscape replacement was one of them that you, landscape contingency that you lowered that one.
Is it possible for them to meet in the middle, like, I know that it sounds like they agree, for example, like
Yeah.
HOA. could
No, we
do
can absolutely
that's
do
what
that.
So if we could each make some sacrifices, if that's-
Well, some of the cuts.
So you're saying you can complete on like Monday, but it's in this agenda.
So some of the differences are contingent, Jason, on GMS, like postage or other current charges, general maintenance, center maintenance, operating supplies. A lot of those are going to be contingent on your team and Brian's team. Are the cuts feasible to still be able to operate the amenity center and then operate the GMS contractors and the management side of that?
Yep.
Zeroing out the electroosmotic flow rate and the microfluidic channel. This is 4 foot 10, it's actually satisfied, so it would take like 20 minutes. For you, coming at from new technology.
If we were to go with the higher end, for example, there's no process for like, at the end of the year, we return the portion that wasn't used back to the number, is there anything?
I mean,
we roll it over to the.
You could, but then, it's probably not feasible, like who wants that? I know a resident, here's a check for
Also,
$6.
the assessment refund process is really,
Okay.
and not only money goes back to its place, and then you end up with some lost revenue that goes to the state where you can't find people. It's a huge, correct. But I think you all came in right around budget this year, didn't you? In terms of your spending, Jason, I don't think there's a big overage or underage.
No, the main thing of why we're doing this is to fund the reserve of 104,000. To keep you, so we have a reserve fund, you had a reserve study carried out, but the thing is, we've been enlightened that the pool needs to be resurfaced. That's one, we need a top lot, and you see that those are anywhere from 60 to 100,000. Two huge expenses there. And it's kind of, like the budget, you guys did pretty good with your budget. It's essentially just covering that expense, and you've got 664 units, right? I think it's, just double checking. So like, you're leveraging that cost to the, you know, how do we make up that margin? And, you know, the reserves, we wouldn't tell you to lower your reserve contribution, but how do you know? And Glenn had looked at this, it's like, where can we shave some money from this? And look, you just need to the board just need to state, like, well, do we want to do the increase where you went from 147 and 173, where Glenn's one was $99 and $118 for the 65 unit, and then you've got, and then you've got Janelle's 24.49 and 28.94. So it's kind of meeting. Well, the middle one of the three is obviously, that would be option one that you have, but if you wanted to meet in the middle of, I think Regan's thought was meet in the middle of those two, where it's kind of, you would have an assessment increase of, that would be like the 60, and roughly, just estimate, I can't compute it right now, but without looking on Excel, it'd be $80 or something like that. But where would you want to put that money? Would you want to keep that in landscape contingency, or?
I mean, story of the last at least 4 years that I've been here, there's been that 30K in the landscape contingency as the buffer numbers of, there's a large project that comes up, there's a huge irrigation repair that's outside the budget that comes up, there's an enhancement that we want to do, you know, those types of things. And I mean, historically, it's there, but we haven't really hit it that hard, which I'm assuming, you know, but I'm assuming that was, you know, the reasoning for going, you know, for dropping the amount that it was. And it's not, it's a bad idea or a good idea either way, but it's just, hey, I understand the aspect and intelligence of trying to run an extremely lean budget, but at the same time, making sure we're prepared for 6 months from now, 9 months from now, at the same time padding what we need to be able to pad for 3 years from now and 5 years from now, which it doesn't seem like historically was the way things were kind of done. I'll use the playground as an example. Playground's been a mess for quite some time. It was repaired 5, 6 years ago, and not replaced them. But that's kind of where we're at the moment of, we're $104,000 that's building into the reserve study. We know there's $120,000-ish going into the pool next year in the splash pad to be able to get those back up into whatever. We were able to pay the $30,000 and not have to dip into capital, you know, reserves for the pool pump that just had to be replaced. So a lot of it is, and I understand where everybody's coming from. I mean, I pay the same amount of the 65 watt lot person as anybody else. I understand where everybody's coming from. The $10-ish a month difference.
Well, I think, you know, from what I understand, actually, the big area where you guys disagree is like the amount of money that's spent on flowers, for example. You know, and so when you say landscape contingency, to me that means a huge fallen oak tree, like an irrigation like breakdown. It doesn't mean like planting flowers over there, like a special project, you know? And I think that's,
and just add to that, you've got contingency, landscape contingency, but then you've got, you know, you have annuals, you have your perennials, which is your budget line items. That's where your plantings are, whether it's 3 rotations, 4 rotations, if you want to do 6 rotations, whatever you want to do with it, that's your budget set for it. But landscape contingency can kind of, that's your, you know, like Glenn, I think Glenn mentioned, like unexpected, like
Magnolia tree falls, dies, you know, disease, you know, whatever, we're going to replace that tree. Things like that there, you know, for opportunity to use an island and one like, I won't pick on my own tree, I'm exaggerating about that, but another tree where there's an island or whatever, if, you know, there's something that dies there, we want to have flowers, we'll take away flowers, we'll sod, you know, whatever, that would be where a lot of the things would come from. We know the landscape, or the irrigation center is aging and constantly an issue, and there's a line item for that, if we hit that, you know, whatever, and I guess something else to keep in mind, the budget's the budget as far as the bottom line. If it's $1 that you you have in your budget, and that's spread, there's 10 cents spread across every line item, it doesn't mean that if this bucket's not getting used, that we can't use the other. There's gonna be people that say you can't, but if you're about to, you can. You can
Yeah, you can
move
move
around,
around,
as
that's
you need
exactly
to.
right, yeah.
But I see a lot of where Janelle came from with, with the savings on a lot of different things. One of them was a question, Jason, general maintenance. That was a new one, and, not tree maintenance, that got moved into, maybe that was general maintenance, that got moved into.
What was proposed.
Yeah, that was a completely new bucket, that looks like that absorbed tree maintenance, that absorbed boulevard maintenance and pressure washing.
Which one are you, general maintenance?
Line 63.
There's still open areas / tree maintenance, that's where tree maintenance went.
General maintenance,
yeah.
what, for 22?
Yeah, so, yeah, it's like a new bucket. So, there was that,
Yes, that was where tree maintenance was rolled into some of that.
It's like tree maintenance, line 59 was combined with line 61. And then it looks like line 65 and line 66 would have been combined into that line 63 for general maintenance.
Right.
That's kind of what my assumptions were when I was through that.
Correct. And so with this, I know, we've had a discussion with Steve, I know you've gone through a few rounds of these.
Yeah, I think we should focus on the divisions, and then we can kind of work through this. We've been kind of bouncing all over, so maybe just start with administrative. And we've got the two budgets, obviously, one you put forth, Glenn, and one Janelle put forth. I'm looking at them side by side. I think based on this, it's a difference of about $4,000 between Janelle's and your budget, Glenn. And I think the big difference here is legal advertising. Looks like Janelle, you bumped that down to about $1,500, which was actual spent to date this year, which makes sense. Printing and binding, that you bumped that down quite a bit to the 120, but we are at 2,800 this year. What was driving that? Good cost.
I guess a lot of it was just printing of what you have here. Like I don't like printing paper in general. So we're trying to, that's why I bring your iPads, but pretty much just printing of, look, anything that we use for our printouts, that's us. But if there was other printings out that we were required, we were bringing.
It was prior property management and like.
Right.
So Steve, you have the original up, because like on the
Yeah.
line for, I've got $250 there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she did.
I've got all three budgets here in front of me.
The one from May, toss that one in the trash.
Let me see.
This is May, yeah, May was 250 originally budgeted for that.
Okay, that's that. Yeah, that's.
No, he's good. No, he's right.
And then this one jumped up, this one apparently
Yeah,
actually was
printing-
731.
Printing's going to be fine. So and that was speaking with Janelle. We wanted to remove that down to $120 in printing. That's absolutely doable in my opinion.
That's
Well,
much more
one of those
realistic.
years, yours went up, you have 1,000 there.
Yeah.
Correct.
On
Your version had 1,000.
which line?
Printing and binding.
Printing and
I
binding.
have 250.
I show 1,000.
That's the May.
You got the, yeah.
No, this is my latest one that was sent to Patty.
I printed what was.
Okay.
on
Can
the
we
agenda.
just look at printing? $120 for printing. Are we good with that? I think the lower the better. Like I think we're okay with that. So printing 120. Okay.
The next one was other current charges. Janelle, you bumped it down to 1,500, which seems to make sense. That's in line with what was spent this year. And then,
Yeah,
Yep.
and then you had supervisor fees, you bumped down from 14 to 13.
Yeah, I talked to Jason.
12
about
meetings,
that.
one budget, one special meeting if required.
Yeah. And actually, it would be, we have 11 regular meetings, so it would be.
You have 11
actually
regular
two.
meetings, so yeah, so
Yeah.
there's 11 regular meetings and 2 budget meetings if you need it, you guys, or special meetings if you don't need them, then obviously it would be the 11,000.
sounds good.
Okay.
You got all those changes?
Yep, well, I've got them here, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Jason, you're gonna throw something at me, but Does everyone know what he's looking at here? Do we all work off the same version?
There's two versions.
No, I'm good, I'm looking at this
Or
one.
Steve's working off.
He's working off
Says
Janelle's
the
one.
same thing. Okay, got it, okay.
This is Glenn's.
Okay, I don't know if
And
I
this
was
is
right on
Janelle's.
one, but this is the one I pulled out of the packet, so
Yeah.
I don't know if this is right, but.
Correct.
I'll figure it out.
But either or, the last one, I just need to change these from the.
Got it, okay.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
it.
Ready?
So the total would be 149,604
Yeah.
for admin.
Yep, correct, yep.
Field expenses here. So I think the big difference, obviously, when we did not have anything for security. Correct. Janelle, we had 26,891. So I would open that up for discussion, but I would say that, given the fact that unfortunately, we're gonna have to put security, some sort of security back in place, I would agree with Janelle that we need to add it back to the budget.
Well,
And that's just so everybody knows, that's not security for the whole neighborhood, that's just for the clubhouse. The people, there's no more private security around the neighborhood, we cut that from budget, I just.
so to that point, approximately, when you go on the high side, say $1,000 a month, if we end up with, leave that easy to another, we have $12,000 line item there, and then pull the, call it capital expense for the hardware and equipment out of the capital account, and then that would reduce that line item there anyway, and then that would also be a recurring expense that would happen on every budget happening after. So if it's $12,000 a year for the licenses and fees and all the pieces that come with that, then we just know that's a recurring cost that happen every year, think about the hardware, or whatever. Everybody's thoughts on that?
I mean, it makes sense. As long as we have it in our budget, it is in reserves as far as security systems.
That's right, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the hardware approximately was 40,000.
Sounds
I think that was on the high end if we went like extra.
Okay, so with that, would you not want to just move that money into the reserve bucket?
Well, it's
Instead.
26,000, leave $1,000 a month, so take 12,000 of that and then put that in that bucket, so for the
So
security.
12,000 here, 12,000 in the reserve bucket?
Yeah,
Okay.
that way
All
it's.
members, is that okay?
Streetlights, Jason, you guys are increasing this a little greater than 15% from actual cost this year. Was there thought process of Duke Energy's going to raise the rates by 15%?
You guys, so Duke Energy with your billing, just going, you've got 100.
We're projected 123,900.
So the issue with Duke Energy, with your billing, they operate 2 months behind. So we're projected for that, like that's not a true. You can add if you look at that bill, you can add an extra, whatever that number is there, add an extra one on top of that, because I believe with Duke Energy, you have almost like a 60-day pay period, almost one behind. So that representation is,
It's about 70%, 66%.
right. So I would not anticipate you lowering. You went through 2 price hikes last year, which I think the first one was 8%, the second one was like about 10%. We've all seen that in our home bills. That's a safe number for you guys to stay at the 142. I mean, once we know that utilities are stable or they're coming down, but there's nothing telling us that utility bills are coming down, so I wouldn't want to lower that number.
So you're saying the fiscal year 123,912 is not based on an annual basis over 12 months? Because even if it's being billed in arrears, it's supposed to be.
Okay, 137,786 for.
What do you have?
137,786.
Correct, so that's where my number where I said you got the
Even if you factor historically, like I said, 8% your full ice, 10% tax year, even if you were to follow that trend, that would put it at 100, just around 138,000. Yeah, and 142 gives us a little bit of that, just in case there is a little bit of slight variance.
Right, we're anticipating roughly that you might end up on the 135 to 137,000. You have a little padding, maybe of $5,000 or $6,000, but that's, we're hoping for lower utilities, but we just don't think that that's necessarily going to happen.
Okay, just so I want to make sure we're working, so Glenn, the 137 was based upon the actuals through 4/30/24. It's been updated to actuals, so the one that came out with the revised numbers was actuals through 7/31. And then they're projected 2 months out, so this was a projection of 5 months, 1/37.
Correct, yeah.
This one's now projection of 2 months, so this is a more accurate
Yeah,
representation.
this one is way more, yes, this is more accurate, but you've got to factor that their 60-day billings, I'm estimating that you will end a year. I know, Patty, like, we just haven't got that number yet, so that final one to catch up, you're going to be right around about 135,000 in the end for that year.
Well, you take an actor, it's just an increase on that. Well, take an actor to 68,893 through 4/30, and Patty just doubled it. That's basically what she did,
Yeah.
the 137 number is the anticipated cost. So she just did the previous one 6 months.
Yeah, trust me, prior board members maybe jump through a lot of hoops to understand what happened with utilities and why the Duke Energy were only taking ACH every 2 months, and that's just how the utilities work with Duke Energy. One of the first assignments, but they made it, so. Yep.
Okay. The next on the list is perennials. I think that was a delta of 6,000, you know?
Yeah, I think there's also land contingency here too, where we're pretty far apart. And I would maybe recommend that we meet somewhere in the middle.
But they give on the brand, 12,000, that it was originally.
Okay, I see.
It's hard to hear back here, I'm sorry, if you guys can speak up.
Okay, sure. I think that was.
I know Teddy's here and he's probably gonna come in 17 times, so I'm still-
I think that was one of the biggest complaints we saw online too from the community was the spending on, perennials, so.
Somewhere in the middle, around the 9,000 mark. Well, I mean, if we're gonna continue on the path that we've done in the last 2.5 years, we're under budgeted based on projections, we could cut some, but we do a $40 enhancement to the Collier side, that's gonna add to that budget anyway, to be able to do like for like what we do. I don't know if that was a convention, that was out there or whatever, but, there's all kinds of fun topics that were brought up, it kind of went with that, but at the same time, the goal there was if Plantation Palms is doing it, and Lansing Gardens is doing it, and Sable Ridge is doing it, they're all free to us, so if you're looking at homes in all these communities down Collier Park, when you're looking at in a 2.5 mile radius, and you're comparing the homes, let's be honest, we're pretty like for like outside if we don't have a golf course, to throw Plantation Palms in there and live there. If you see it in one, then you get back and you're looking at a house here, and it's just your last stop and looking at the house, the first thing that you come into the community is what the community looks like. If the community is bright, pretty, and inviting, and similar to the others, the likelihood of that person continuing to look at that home and buying that home, those are things that come into play, at least in my thought process, is previous that were and different things, but, some people are gonna disagree with that. I mean, we're $3,000 apart, that's, we're all out.
I think my personal opinion, I don't disagree with all of that. I just think that with everything else we have going on, I'm not opposed to putting perennial flowers in. I just don't know if we need to do it 4 times a year, or can we cut back on the amount? I mean, those things are so packed full. Like, can we thin them out a little bit, or can we maybe do a perennial for a year or two until we do catch up a little bit and have more money in our reserves? I'm not disagreeing that those need to look nice. I'm just not sure we need to spend $12,000 to do it, or like the two ends, I don't necessarily think need to be exactly the same. They haven't been the same for 20 years, so why do we that this year as opposed to waiting until next year. Or if we get to the end of the year and we have extra money in the landscape contingency, then let's swap them out and make them look the same. That's my thought process. And the same for landscape contingency. I'm okay for maybe 10,000, maybe we meet in the middle, and do 15 or 20 instead of 30 and 10. I mean, I'm 10 or 30, so maybe 20 is a compromise.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just unfortunately, based upon irrigation repairs that this community has faced, we see those going out all the time. But going back to perennials, while I like it, I mean, I do think it's a nice feature. I agree. The community has kind of spoken with regards to that, so I would prefer you and Janelle on 6,000. The compromise.
I think probably 9 would be the compromise because of the solution to it.
Yeah, 9 and 10, I think would be a good compromise.
9, and then what's the landscape contingency?
20.
Money,
I
okay.
agree with that.
Well done, guys. Thank you both for working so hard to get the, the budget down. I know you worked a lot of hours on that. I really appreciate it.
So I think the next thing on is open area conservation maintenance. We're looking at one for 25. Janelle, your updated is 15. Take the 10 out of that.
That's on 61. Open area to
I don't have Excel, sorry.
Which one are you looking at?
I think it's, yeah.
Open area conservation,
Tree maintenance.
15,000, that was where, do you remember way back when that there was some, there were areas that needed to be,
That was the buffer mitigation bucket that got created.
correct, it was like 15,000, there was one stretch where it was against the pond banks where the district came in and cut back. Do you still want to have that, or? You spent-
Invasive, plants that are just taking over.
Well, we spent a lot of money on that a couple of years ago, and then, Tom, this was for you. This goes back to the buffer conversation that you and I have had, and we'll continue to have with Cardinal on maintaining what they've already done. Could we reduce that? I don't see why we couldn't, especially if we're holding Cardinal accountable for what they're not doing. They need some of that cost based on, hey, you let it go back out, so. What was the difference on that when you mentioned over 10,000?
Yeah, it was,
15, you know, and then,
Yes, it is.
yeah, I'm not with that, yeah.
So we're gonna lower that one to 10?
No, it's a 15.
So we're keeping it at 15, I think, because I'm.
Yeah.
Whose budget are you looking at?
My connection elsewhere.
All right, next item is aquatic control. Looks like Janelle, you bumped that down from 13 to 10,848.
I didn't change it. It was 10,848. Lynn's went up to 13, unless I'm not looking at the right.
Right.
I added a few dollars here just to round it out based on, the $904 a month.
The 904 is continued, is the applied aquatics monthly maintenance. They have not increased their fees in almost 10 years with you guys. I guess they like this contract, or,
I think it's easy.
yeah.
It was on one of the,
Yeah.
Which, was it 10,848?
So we're 10,848.
I think we're projected 12,548 through 930.
You're projected to pay 11,698, so I'm assuming that there was extra chemical or something that we needed to facilitate the contract, so. Do we want to put it at just to do a round number of 12,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
General maintenance, this was one you dropped, Janelle, from 22.1 to 12.
Yeah, I thought tree maintenance was covered in the open areas / tree maintenance. And also, it doesn't look like we used anything for tree maintenance, so I wasn't sure why we were budgeting so much for that.
So with your tree maintenance, how it typically works, you do the trees every 2 years, so that's why you haven't used it this year, so then when you have that bucket next year, you will see that the Cardinal have provided a proposal for tree trimming. We'll probably start that at the beginning of October, so then you've got this fiscal year's budget number, next year's budget number, so you can actually just That's why it's been in there historically.
With that, the only area right now, even in the next few months, is wood violet to whatever the entrance to Sweet William is on the right-hand side. That seems like the,
The lowest hanging.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, I think that quote for 30 was like way
well,
more
it was
trees.
$60,000, but it was for 32,000, it's, 32,000.
Yeah.
You can always do it in phases as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it's like there's one section that can be done and probably not touched until maybe October next
Yeah.
year, and we're saving $40,000.
Honestly, it made me wonder if it wasn't done with the last tree trimming, because it doesn't make sense to
It's
just have.
excessively low.
It's
Yeah.
very consistent, it's just that one stretch.
Yeah, I'm okay bumping that back to where it was.
So the general maintenance, the actual bucket says includes all unforeseen broken things that come out of summarization, pressure washing, paper sealing, you know, and that kind of thing is what that would come out of. So I know that was another thing on the pool resurface we were looking at, was having everything resealed back there after the pool was done. And then the papers out here haven't been resealed probably ever. And then Tom and I were talking about this earlier with the removal of lockers, that there's probably gonna be some discoloration and stuff like that, so it have to be sealed and maintained. And that may be at 22,000, may be excessive. What did you have to, 10?
I had 12, but,
You want to meet at like 18?
yeah, that's fine.
18?
So, Tom, we just spent what, 4,500, I think, no, it was less than that, like, gas came and done all of the parking lot, and all that stuff.
I think it was
sidewalks.
I can tell you right now.
I think it was.
I think it was.
53,900 or something weird. That's kind of once a year kind of down.
Yeah, I think it was like 5.
Okay.
And so I think
I gotta get that back to you.
that's it for field expenditures. I think we can move down to clubhouse expenditures.
So just for your field, just because I'm working on Janelle's and hybrid of Glenn's into there, so the field expenditures went to 487,561. So in between the two, that's, you know, from Janelle's is up 5 and it's a little bit lower on you had 566 once, right? Yep. Okay.
All right, so clubhouse expenses, I think the big delta there was, many center enhancements, you dropped that from 500 from 5,000, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we were only at 500 this year. I was trying to figure out what we were enhancing here that would cost $5,000.
Lighting, but the lighting that was kind of done.
Yeah.
Repainting the inside potentially, was one of the thought processes, things like on furniture at one point. Oh, that was a bucket that, I guess it's been there, it's $5,000 last year, and it's been $129.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking that some of that money might make more sense for food furniture, because that was so away at 1,500 on both of yours. And
Yeah.
Umbrellas being 1,800.
So Brian actually just did this for another community. He did a pool. So we would look to use your pool furniture and keep it and just do like, if you wanted to add it or if you needed to re-sling furniture,
Yeah, it's been done before.
it is expensive, but Brian, I think one community, they did, I think it was like, what was it, 40 chairs? And it was Forest Brook.
Oh, Forest Brook, yeah. Riesling is always gonna be the most cost-effective way. You guys do have some good chairs, it looks like, and the only thing is I don't like the little slats, the rubber slats that you guys got there. Those can get very hot and sticky. So if we were gonna do any improvements on there, we would be looking for a Riesling with the fabric instead of what you guys are.
The cost of that was, it could be anywhere from $10,000 to
Yeah.
$15,000 for
Yeah,
good pool furniture.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
but brand new pool furniture, you're looking 20, 25.
It does, it has already been re-signed, like previous boards.
Oh,
But that could come out, we had that in the capital
It's
reserves.
real.
Yeah.
The reserve study, and actually, it was an expenditure for this year, 2025, and they had a budget of 17,000. So I think that can come out of our capital reserve fund, we don't necessarily have to put it out for
Right.
So I think I guess amenities center enhancements, again, my thought was, I'm trying to cut anything we really don't need to do to me. I mean, okay, yeah, maybe this place needs painted, but it doesn't really look that bad. We
Yeah.
really need new furniture, so I think I kept it at 1,000 instead of going down to 500, but, I guess I'm still not really seeing where we need $5,000 there.
I would just did the lighting, and that was,
Oh, you mean inferior?
yeah.
I already did that.
Well, I was trying to think if that's, because I know that's not included in that projected $129, so those lights were more, but I don't remember. So what if we did in the middle there,
Yeah.
2,500? The next one, contingency, it stayed the same, but, what else included in just the word contingency?
Contingency for your clubhouse maintenance items.
Okay, that's right. Whatever I said. So that covers, that would be like full pumps, like that tops.
Or like, toilets like something, or
Yep.
phone,
Yep, things like that.
things that happen in the world, and the like countertop.
Yeah. And again, that would be like a capital expense if you really needed to do something like that. But if there was a toilet breaks, that's where it comes out of that contingency.
Yeah.
But then if you get to the end of the year, say you want to paint the whole inside, we got $6,000 or $7,000, we can use that contingency money to do that.
Did you hear that? I know we want to paint it. Well, change it.
I said the inside, not the outside.
Well, it's not just as much
The
that.
board,
it's-
the board didn't have any input and it was painted, and so it was fit with consensus.
Well, I was trying to fix the acoustics too. The acoustics of the room are
That would
awful.
be really nice.
And there's ways to paint different things to fix it.
Curtains, carpets.
Yeah.
So if 15,000 is what you know, before, it was previously 18,000, are we good with 15?
Sure.
Okay. Special events, keeping that at, Janelle had it at 10. And are we going to work with the HOA? There's a couple of HOA members. Okay, great.
And then I would do the same for line 19 for holiday decorations, drop that back to 2,000. And then, just ask the HOA for some, money to help out with that.
How does the HOA do their events? I don't know wall shopping, but like, do they coordinate with the staff here? Or like, is it outdoors?
There hasn't,
And they haven't done it.
Oh, they just provide funding or something?
They haven't done anything.
Got it.
we've got a pretty good event manager, we just leave her to do the events, we just take the funds and we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, that's what we'd like to do, that would be ideal, right, is that still the clubhouse management staff would run the events.
Got it,
And the
okay.
HOA would just help fund
Okay.
that.
In the past, the clubhouse management was like, no, we don't work for the HOA, we only work for the CDD, like, and so they wouldn't cooperate or liaise or anything.
He didn't do anything.
I was just curious. Okay.
Operate,
Source subject here, source subject.
And then, yeah, we skipped operating supplies, I think, too.
yeah, Janelle, you're recommending 7,000, previous budget was 10,000.
Yeah.
Given our actual through projections, which are close to 9,400, I recommend keeping it at 10,000.
Okay.
Well, I think that, and with that, that's something we should look at, not this year, but something we should look at next year. I think a lot of, with the amenity center staff, there's been a lot of things that were found that were triplicates and quadruplicates of different things that now they don't need to spend money on, so maybe they'll reduce that one next year. But yeah, they projected $8,100, so it's close.
What is our total budget?
The total, what, under clubhouse expenditures?
Yeah.
So if we're good with that line item, we go up to 280,163. So that is it's an increase of 5,000 on Janelle's
7K.
budget line item, and then coming down towards 7. So overall expenditures for the just from Janelle's budget. So it's about $10,000 increase. So it's roughly, that's about $15. It's between $12 and $15. Well, it would be $13 and $16 on top of what you guys are currently paying, which is the 24 and $28. So it's $13 to the $24, and then it's $17 to the $28.94.
That's adding that 24,000 or whatever, 12,000 where it was from.
That's 12,000 going into your reserve bucket because.
46 is the reserve, 7,000.
Correct, because that's that, but then you've also kept that line item for the 12,000 for the subscriptions for whatever you use for your many access.
Yeah, so I'm adding
Where are we pulling money for the playground?
That will be out of your reserves, out of your capital reserves.
Okay.
Because so what you will be in return doing this year with your budget, you'll be putting 116,300 of your taxpayer money into your reserves. Your reserve at this point will then increase to, at the beginning of 9/30/25, which I would anticipate you will have this money in December when all of your monies come in, you'll have 323,624 in your reserve bucket.
And then we need to we're pulling out the playground and what else is coming out?
So the main thing that is going to be coming out of that, Brian, what is the cost for the pool roughly? You've got, I think it's 125.
Yeah.
Two different
Well,
quotes.
for resurface, I got a quote for 147.5 from one.
Okay.
Is that the original company, Brian, or is that the
No,
one
that's
just
different.
No, they were right. The pool works was 125. So that would leave you 198,000 in your reserves. So that's where a top lot could be. You would probably take from that because you've got to think you have 116,000 going in your reserve bucket. If you spent that fiscal year of 26, you can put that in again, which will replenish. So by 2027, you should be fully replenished back in your reserves, and that's where it's the option where.
Meaning we have to do an assessment again next year. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, I hope not. I hate sending those letters.
Yeah.
That jet goes together.
Especially when we do it 2 years in a row for.
Yeah,
4 years
and
in a
that's
row.
my point, is I wanna make sure that we're good, that we're not gonna have to do this again next year. Because I would rather pad it a little bit more this year and add another $10 to the current assessment, rather than have to.
Now, when you say assessment, you're talking special assessment or annual?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm talking about this.
You're talking about an increase in your annual assessment.
Yeah,
Which would trigger the mail notices.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's gonna be depending upon what, inflation does over the year, but.
Right.
Oh, that's not bad.
I mean,
Where-
If you're going to do that, then would you want to put an extra? So
right now,
so roughly, if you wanted to put
37.
so on average, if you think $10 per unit, $6,640 for every $10 that you put in. Where would you want that money? Would you want to put it in your reserves? Is that what you're thinking? And then it's just, because then it's being put towards, that it's going towards your reserve. You're not putting it into a line item of miscellaneous or anything like this.
Yeah, I'm thinking why not have the, I mean, we cut a lot off the budget. I mean, we're at what, like 37.44 for the yearly increase.
Down from 100.
140, 173 or something like that. So what if we, I mean, I would much rather be a little more cautious of let's put in an extra 10, that'll help cover the cost of the playground. And then maybe we don't have to make cuts on the playground and just do something really tiny and simple this year, maybe we can fully do the playground.
So would you want to just do so that'd be roughly a $25 increase per unit on top of this, so that would be, the smaller units would have a $25 increase, the larger lots would have about a $70 increase, I think it is, roughly about 68, I think it is.
I think I was thinking smaller than that, but.
So that's all in, right?
Sorry,
That's all in, right?
all in.
We're gonna be on
So what's the assessment setting?
Yeah.
Well,
you're saying
after you just
37
finished
plus
your-
the 25?
After you just finished your increases, what you just did there, the smaller lots are sitting roughly at $36.59. And then you've got your larger lots that are sitting at $45.94.
And so you're saying an extra 25 on
And if
top of
you-
the 36.59?
That's entirely up to you guys, if you wanted to do that. So if you did a 25 on the larger lot, I'd probably say the smaller lot would be roughly about 20, 21. Because that's the difference with the ERUs, I mean, the larger lots pay a larger portion.
Right.
If you're saying you want to put an extra 25 on that one, fortunately, we would lower the smaller, like to,
Right. And did you already do the calculation of how much extra that would be in reserves?
oh, let's do that. Is that what you guys would like me to do? That's an extra, so that would be roughly about 16,600 extra in the reserves.
60,000.
600, yeah.
Oh, 600,000.
No,
Oh,
16,600.
Almost 17 grand,
Yeah,
yeah.
about 16,600 in your reserves, extra on top. You can have,
Well,
you can have a banging, like potluck.
Well, I mean, based upon reserves we've got today, according to what you've got here, you've got 284,000 at the beginning of this year.
Correct.
We've
Is
got
that correct? Are we looking at?
284,000, so that's for the reserves beginning of the year.
Beginning of the year. Correct, yeah. That's beginning year of fiscal year of 25.
You said
Yeah, because that's
323,624 for
So this beginning of year, fiscal year 25, contribution 318,000.
That's anticipated balance in September 2025.
Correct.
But then I'm gonna pull 125 out of there for the pool
Right, so
and
then,
potentially $100,000 per playground.
No, understood, and
Yeah.
looking at the reserve study, those were like one of the two largest expenses we have identified in the reserve study, so trying to build up that reserve study on the next coming years, we don't have as large of capital expenditures.
Yeah.
So I think we have time to build that
But
up,
I see you
is
don't
my
think
point,
that's
so I don't
extra.
think we necessarily need to set aside 16,000
Okay.
for this fiscal year.
Okay.
You know, we've hit a lot, we had the roof repairs this year, we've had the AC, that was done as well, so we've captured a lot of what was in this reserve study,
Okay.
which I think, you know, we need to update this, obviously, going forward, and that was one of the recommendations, but I think going into at least this fiscal year, I think we're set.
Okay. Okay.
so overall,
We should be
your,
thrilled.
I believe so. Okay, well, I've definitely got all of your changes made, so we're set in that part. Do we have any more questions related to the budget or anything? Okay. Obviously, with that, that's definitely a high-graded, mixture of option one and option two put together, so I think we compromise and put together, but guys, thank you so much for all of your help with that, Steve. Orchestrating that, I think everything, joint effort, that was fantastic, so. Alrighty.
Motion approved, and
Yeah, we motion to approve with the budget as amended with the hybrid of option one and two. Ready?
second.
Glenn Roberts, second. By Steve Shaw, all in favour? Alright, motion passes. And then next with that, this is just, this goes hand in hand, a motion to approve resolution 24-16, imposing assessment receipt, assessment and certified assessment roll.
Second.
Second by Steve Shaw, all in favour? Alrighty, motion passes. Excellent. Alrighty, so once that's all we'll post the finalized budget on the website, and then if you want staff, we will also circulate this via email blast if you guys want to. I think that's the easiest way. We have staff that's been pretty good about getting notified out. So thank you for that again. Next item, we do have the public hearing for resolution 24-17, adopting the amended amenity rules and procedure.
I thought it was pushed to the next one.
Do we want to, we can absolutely push that to the next meeting. I think with that, let's push the consideration of the adopting annual meeting schedule for the next meeting too. Does that work?
Knock that one out.
You want to talk about that one now?
Third Tuesday of the month, 6 o'clock.
Then Tuesday, month.
Yeah, that's fine.
You said 2 o'clock?
Monday, 2 o'clock, I am sorry.
Sorry, motion?
Third Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
No, 6 o'clock.
Not the third.
I nearly had it. Sorry, Jen. All right. So, okay, with that,
I did see the sign to say 6:30.
yeah, they're going to be changed.
Yes.
That's
sorry
what
for
happens
this one.
before you guys are even here, because they would have like 30 minutes. That's all you
Yeah.
have.
Well, they're 6 o'clock now. Fix that.
When you guys are 30
You
minutes.
should come on.
So do we have a motion to approve resolution 24-13?
Second. That's what's up to do next month.
Chanel and Roberts, all in favour?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Next item, staff reports. District engineer, Tanya has taken the leave of absence, so at the moment we got notified. Not too sure what's going on. I know that Jez also received a notice, but ultimately we have been provided other district engineer if we have any other questions, but obviously wish our wellness to tell them that she's doing well.
Does Stanzac say who's replacing her in time?
It's actually,
I can't remember what the lady's name was.
she sent the email notice, but it was basically her number 2 next to her, like kind of who she's been working with for several years.
No name? Just number
I
two.
can find it, I can certainly find it.
Vanessa Nurse.
Vanessa, that's it, yep.
Here for wait, while we're talking about this here, Tom, who fixed the potholes? That you guys, or you guys do that?
The county.
Okay, thank you. Anybody wants to order, or got potholes starting it?
They're pretty fast.
All the same area.
Ready?
And I think their expectation is that they'll come if you guys ask them to, so.
They were here fast.
If we need a different, expectation, we'll get on their meeting if you need them, but,
Stand take another one.
yeah.
We're saving money here.
That's exactly right. I didn't know if I was hearing something different, just wanted to ask.
So moving into field manager's report, we have an action item to list. I'm going to pass this over to Tom. Tom?
So, I was out here a couple times with the Nebula guys, so it looks like that's up and good now. We've had a couple issues with the rain. It was tripping out. We had the outlets replaced out there and everything. It seems like it's going good now.
They close their box up instead of leaving it open.
Yeah, we're gonna keep continuing to monitor and hopefully that we don't come across any issues again.
But it's been secured. Under warranty.
We added that, the no trespassing sign outside your pre-drive as well.
Thank you.
The changing stations were added, the amenity light bulbs inside and out were changed as well. We had one outlet exposed by the tennis courts, that's also on a timer, so right now it's only working at night, the outlet. So it's on the same timer as everything else on.
They went to have that always on for, so now it's not fan or.
Yeah, I'm gonna send our maintenance team out here the next time we're here and see if there's any way we can fix that. If not, it'll probably be an electrician thing.
There's a timer somewhere. Check the timer.
Yeah, because, we don't need the outlet should work during the day, just not in flood months.
We're having an event during the day or.
Yeah.
anything, it'd be-
So we're gonna be working, going forward with that. The locker removal, so we got the okay for that, last night.
That's huge.
Yeah,
5 years.
Well, Jay, I know it's part of your report. Did you want to just touch
No,
on
I
that?
think y'all know what's going on, I think something else.
Let Thomas take credit for
It was a pleasant surprise, when we get to the office this morning and seeing it. So we're gonna be working towards now finding the best route to take of going there. If that's something our maintenance team could do, is get rid of the lockers, but also coming with that would be definitely a power wash at the bare minimum, because that has been there for how many years? 5 plus. There's a wooden structure on the bottom of it as well, so, taking that out, and I believe that the paint scheme is the previous paint scheme of the clubhouse, so that will be painted as well.
Is it aluminum that can be scrapped or not? Is it aluminum that can be scrapped?
Yeah, so I took pictures today of it to send over to the scrap yards over here to see if we can do that.
Great.
Just we need to have the approval before we can call and relate to them and be like, here's a bunch of lockers. We just want to make sure that it's possible for them to do it
Yeah.
before we load it up on the trailer.
And do we have pricing for all of that?
So GMS, we put a proposal together of 1,400, but we still need to find out what the true cost. We don't know, like some things, like when you go to a dump, it costs you more to take a television and things like that. We don't know the true cost of dumping. That's our ballpark. We don't think it's going to exceed that. However, we have reached out. I've reached out to one parcel company to see if they'd be interesting to take it, and they've said, never been asked that question before. let me circle back with management. If they respond back, I've provided their information, but typically it's not. That's a great question to have. But let's see if they can take it and someone else can use it. Fantastic. Or if there's, I don't know if there's any resale value or whatnot. I have no idea.
Is the 1,400 just the hallway, or does that include the power washing and repeat too?
That would just be the hallway, I think, but we can work on like the painting and whatnot also. This is
Probably in an hour to paint that.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have the paint already.
Yeah.
we don't even know the weight of those things.
Yeah.
Our maintenance guys want to come over there and be like, what are you?
I mean, just going like that with it, it's probably gonna take three guys to like safely do that.
Yeah.
Jason, take it one step further, I guess, being it was powered at one point in time, the electrical wires or connections back there to it,
Yeah,
what can we do there?
so that's what we need to get it off kind of to see what is back there and how
Is that something the electricians would have to do, or?
Well, do we want to do this? Do you want to just provide a not to exceed of 1,400, and if we can get it away free and clear and start working on this, because if we find a way that we can get these hauled off in a couple of weeks, maybe it might not be GMS, we might find a junk company that want to do it instead, that are able to do it. I think we just want to keep moving forward with it, because I don't want to wait for the next meeting and say, but if we do find a solution to it, we will circulate that to the board. So
Can we throw in a couple $100 on the not to exceed, get it painted, that way we don't have to wait for another meeting and the wall looks like crap for a month?
sure, I mean, our maintenance guys, we can absolutely paint it, but if it's not, I can send our guys out to just paint it and just be part of the.
Looks like I'm talking about earlier, it's like if it comes out on Tuesday,
Yeah,
okay, on Wednesday or Thursday, it's painted.
yeah, like it's gonna be,
Well, same thing.
it's gonna be quick, yeah, because we don't want that, especially with what we don't know is under it. That's gonna probably be power washed immediately, and then the paint won't be far behind.
And I wouldn't say like necessarily it's GMS, I would say not to exceed 1,500 to get that thing taken away and painted. And then we can just start working on it.
Okay.
And then if it costs more, then obviously we'll work with the direction of the chair as long as it's not egregious.
$1,500 for the thing.
Alrighty?
Or not, motion not to exceed $1,500.
Technically, it's a new agenda item, I think.
You want to open up for public hearing?
So we want to comment on that?
I think you're be happy to get rid of that.
I'm sure.
All in favor of getting rid of the eyesore? There we go.
Lobster's like an endangered species.
Don't say that.
Why bring that car
Must
Must be removed and put on Bob Fox's.
So the not to exceed, given that comment, the not to
Your
exceed number is
nature
now
is-
2,500. No, I'm just kidding. So there was no public comment. Kind of in that item.
They can give us on.
Yes, sir.
They probably missed that, they're still out there.
Motion to approve the receipt of 1,500 of the removal of the lockers.
Jen, you need to get the vote on the removal of lockers, but we assume you were okay with that. Yep.
Alrighty, so that was a motion by Glenn, you had that?
Second.
Second motion now, all in favour?
For the room.
Aye.
Great.
It's just a happy moment.
Continue on.
Same thing.
So the next thing was the fountain repair, so I used my liaison over here, and we got that fixed. So they found ground both in the motor and the cable, so both were replaced. But it seems to be up and running, and no issues now, so yeah, we'll continue to monitor that.
And that was actually a cost savings, I believe, right? There was the not to exceed the 3,400, I believe it was actually a lot less than that.
31.
3182. Well, it was less than what was
Yeah.
We covered quite a lot, so if you missed it, please.
Yeah, that was-
But at your last meeting, you approved a fountain repair, working with Janelle.
Yep.
Tom, do better, put it on your report. I'm kidding.
I have it all right here.
You did a lot.
So we'll go into the lighting towers now. So I have the two quotes. The one was southeast, was the new one. That was the one for 20,000, but those lights are completely different. Those are freestanding structures, not like the banners we have here. That was the 20,000, and then on the last page, you'll find the labor price of 15,600. So you have to add those together.
So technically, you're around 35,000 for the dual lighting structure that they showed at the mountain white as well. You know, this is what they offer. They said that this is, we don't technically do these bollards. But Tom provided the good news with this.
We have the other quote for 13,300, and that was to replace all of them. I provided a map as well of the locations that they would be in. That would be to replace them with very similar structures to the ones we have in front that don't need to be replaced, the working ones up near the tennis courts and all that.
This is the light for line, right?
Mm-hmm. And so we would end up doing about every other from what we have now, the structures that aren't working, because we really didn't need to, have 50 of them.
This was the one that was approved prior. However, the vendor came back and said, I need to confirm that my disposal fee was correct and aligned, and essentially he increased his disposal fee by an extra $400. And it was confirmed. I've also spoken with the vendor. They said that they can do this for the 13,300. So that was, I think that this is, for what you want, this is the most cost-effective route. Going every other and getting all of the bollards that don't work.
And they would better one.
Does this quote, the 13,300, doesn't include the extra 30 if we wanted to do an extra 2-year warranty? That would be another $30 that one
Yeah, on the back.
Okay, just making sure I'm reading that right.
That would be the third page,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go over, but all of it.
So that's 5 plus 2 from the, that's what I would.
They're in a 5-year manufacturer warranty. Good job on highlighting that one. I'd love to see that one. That's probably one of my questions.
And do we have an idea of when they could get started?
We will get with them when it gets approved.
He said 60 days. Like he'd have it completed in 60 days.
Okay.
So
So by the time it's dark, turning it dark, you
Yeah.
have to go walking at 9, 6 or 7 o'clock, right, like lighting.
Yeah. How many? Are they on that?
Yeah, they're on top.
I think 10 and
Oh.
You have to go down and turn everyone on.
So, yeah, the board previously approved this at a prior meeting, at your May meeting, but would you like to go through and get another?
It's not on the agenda, so yeah.
All right.
we have to. Just any audience comment on it?
If you're replacing every other light, what's happening to the ones you didn't replace where you're gonna have raw wire out? Is there a proposal to cover those up and secure the wires?
Yeah, they'll be covered up. All the exposed wire will be covered.
There's an actual term for that, Jeff, it says supply and install junction boxes to cover electrical wire with basic bollards and they've been removed from the concrete slab.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good point.
Yeah, so it's concrete bases and all of those as well, so.
Anybody else?
Alrighty, we have a motion to approve.
Motion. What you got first?
Second. All in favor?
Are we adding the $30 or no? We have to do that now, right? If we want to do that.
I mean, they have a 5-year manufacturer warranty, I don't know if this is 5+2, or if it's 2 on top of 5, or 2, I don't know. I mean, essentially, you're being added.
$255 to replace one light, I don't know if it's worth spending more on additional warranty for 5 years.
I mean, if you're doing 20 lights, you're usually adding another $600.
And I don't know what the warranty says either.
Yeah, that's the hard work.
About like, if they were installed correctly, you know, kind of whatever. I think it's legal stuff. There might be your warranty.
All right, anything else on Tom's report?
Any problem with the water fountain that, mentioned at another meeting, would that be clubhouse or field management?
Clubhouse, you gonna talk about the water fountain out here, or is it been every time?
We can touch on it.
Do we want to touch on it during your report, or do you want to do it?
We can touch on that in our report.
Okay, sweet. Anything else for Tom?
I can tell it's, there's some lights along the boulevard, they're out now, so I'll flag them for you. So there's some lights out on the boulevard,
Okay.
so I'll flag them for you, and also Metro Village, some road lights are out.
Thank you.
So
The street lights?
street lights on the boulevard and not further out lights.
Okay.
Bushes, there's
Okay.
3 of them there, 1 damaged and 2 are broken.
Okay.
So when you say flag, you're going to just tell us the numbers, or?
I'll take the flag and then you can look at the numbers.
Okay, sweet. Are you going to take them with the?
Yeah, just with yellow or orange flag.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
We don't have curves, but we do.
Well, do have, you can report those on group sites, not in.
Yeah, but I think like Steve's saying is that I'll flag them.
It's just hard at night to sit there and try to find the numbers, so it's easier for me to put the ribbon on it than to have
Yeah.
to by and pull the numbers.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Awesome, thanks Tom. Alrighty, next item that we have is landscape manager's report. Obviously, this is the current landscaping report that was added to your agenda. Was there any questions?
What page is that in the agenda?
We've got that on page 81.
Oh,
81. So obviously, this was a lot of the irrigation repairs. There was, page 84, there was a special request provided by a board member where it was trees along the pathway leading into the pond behind the reserve needed to be cut back, and then I guess there was a magnolia tree outside the reserve at Sunset Point. They did that at no extra charge. And obviously there was another, there was actually pretty bad irrigation blowout. They've actually provided the breaker that went out.
I was looking at the repair that was done in irrigation, and I've never seen such a spaghetti mess of irrigation pipe in my
I was just about to say that.
I'm not an irrigation expert, but
and just
Coming from prior work in the golf course, that's totally not satisfactory.
no, because obviously that's a lot of friction loss, and that we don't have pressure in the system already, and then they go through and add literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 90-degree bends.
Yeah. We don't know what it looked like before, because it didn't work.
Yeah, I'm
But in
saying,
theory, you should have it gone straight here off of the main line and go one nine, or even 145. Yeah, 145 degrees to.
I don't know the method to that madness. I wouldn't think they want to do all of those cuts for no reason. Maybe there's a reason for it. I don't
can we find out?
Yep, we can absolutely look into that. Tom, put that on your report to review, like on page 83.
59.
83.
They-
Huh?
Ours take it down.
Mine was 83. But, okay, so on the landscape report, find out why.
Actually, it starts on page 50. Go back one page.
Ready, and then, so there are a couple of proposals here. Tom, do you want to go over the proposals?
So the cardinal ones were the ones that were requested.
The one, the 4388 one we talked about last month, we were gonna table that one until September.
Okay, so this one's tabled to September.
That was the Collier entrance.
Got it?
43 was tabled.
And then two tree ones, the 60, well, no, that one.
The shilling removal, the 65 one.
But the two- Yeah, they're real, yeah, they're real low, they're real scrubby looking, I call them scrubby brush.
The block review, we're trying to get out of the
Like you can shake down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna get coming out of the plan and that.
So,
And yes,
obviously,
that's-
this is a tremendous expenditure, which is with your budget that you just adopted. This is one of those that we would suggest to do in phases, but it was a request from the board to get this proposal. So obviously, it's 60, it's serious, some money's there, so
There's a lot of unknowns that are there, and Mike has written out, what could be this, could be that, could be less, could be more, based on a lot of factors. So I think it's and we've asked how many times to have a rendering. Sorry, Steve, I took your thunder on that one, but, we've asked previously to have a rendering on, it looks like X today, it looks like whatever tomorrow, and they didn't provide that either, but they need to firm up their quote to be, it's going to cost this, and if there's a 5 or 10% variance, then there's a 5 or 10% variance, tell us that. But if it's,
Well, especially with the irrigation
Yeah.
issue we just had, there's a lot of irrigation changes they wanna make. I think we need to understand how they're doing the irrigation to make sure they're not going to replace irrigation and just cause more issues with how they're doing it.
Or just like damage it on their, moving the plant and then doing your, that's what I was visualizing. And I know that Cardinal doesn't like to deal with the shilling, necessarily either. It's a maintenance headache for them. But I don't also wouldn't say sod is necessarily the best approach either, because that's more irrigating. I might prefer to see bolts, taken out around that time of trees.
I don't think we can make any, I mean, they obviously just slapped us together, didn't put any thought into it, it's just a, hey, if they bite, because I mean, if I got this.
it's kind of, I don't wanna do this.
Yes, exactly, so I don't wanna do this work, I'm gonna throw it out there, I mean, the lifting, they've got both the same price from Collier to Queen Anne, and from Aaron, and we have two different types of trees as far as maturity levels, so that shouldn't be the same price, which, that's why I asked for the contract from you, Jason, because according to the contract, we have to find, they're supposed to be lifting those up along the boulevard up to 8 feet. So anything drooping in the sidewalk is supposed to be lifted 8 feet per the contract.
Well, that covers the issue we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, from Blue Violet to Sweetway, on the white path side, so don't go there, and that'll cover that, they should take care of that, we should be incurring the cost.
So that's in exhibit, I think, C of the contract, it was in the proposal scope, which is attached, it says all contract documents are part of the So if you look at it.
Yeah, no,
And I think what I wouldn't say like come back to it, like, so anything, when it gets into like, I guess the canopy, if I'm saying the right verbiage, of the tree where it gets thicker, that is not within their scope, they can trim it, but obviously, as they trim, obviously that's making sure that the sidewalks are safe, but anything in that canopy that gets thicker, that's out of their scope. But, you know, you would think that if you did it with the right trimmings, things wouldn't grow and get bigger in the canopy, but I guess trees don't obviously work like that, but when it gets thicker, that becomes a lot tougher to maintain, because when they do that tree trimming, when they go through the community and they chop all of the trees all along the boulevard, that's a serious operation what they do, where they, you know, that's so Steve, you just here, and I think the most important thing, if Cardinal were going to want to do this work, we would want them to come to this meeting because it's serious dollars now.
I was just about to echo Glenn's point, I mean, if we're, even if we were to put that in several phases, I would like to have Carmen come in and say, okay, here's line by line items, here's what we're planning to do, not just throw it out there and say, okay, we're gonna remove existing plants and not have any clarification on it.
Yeah, and I would agree, and I would like to see, you know, just for the sake of doing our diligence, measurements, like, you know, what's the general like square footage, and what is the price per spot per pallet, like versus more, I don't know.
Right. And I think that this was previously provided in a proposal a while back, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'm gonna ask about it. I think maybe-
You asked about it over a few years, I've asked about it over the last few years, and we got shut down.
Yeah, and the residents have complained that visibility, you know.
Okay.
No, it's just an area to pull out, it's, yeah.
And if they're gonna come to the meeting, then they can hit all at the same time. Put it for 65, and they can go into detail once.
But if they don't go where our exact questions are, then we just, you know, we go through the meeting, and then we'll ask questions, and they'll, they will get back to us.
Well, I mean, Mike hasn't
We can have them be prepared.
Mike hasn't been to see us long. I know Tommy and I met Mike and Mark a couple months ago, but it's been, I'm not sure if they've attended the meeting with Daniel here. I'm not even sure they've attended the meeting with, folks who know being on the board. So, I mean, I didn't bring them in, but in the middle of this meeting and next, the area that Janelle and I are speaking of, we can get them on that before somebody is hurt. If you're really like me, might mind riding a bicycle, I'll get you through.
I have to that when I'm walking, or walk around it, I'm not very tall, I don't know how they know, because they've got to be hitting that stuff that they know.
It's, well, it goes back to another conversation too, where we're doing the same thing, if there's a limb sticking out or something, I remember when the buffer lines, dribbling around, instead of calling the other guy behind him, they bring a pole saw and knock this piece off, and then push that back on the next turn, but they're not, we pay a bunch of money to keep the buffer done, let's keep the buffer done.
Okay, just so I just heard from Mike, because it's a 3-inch pipe and the next to the other pipe, you have to have it match the elevation of the pipes.
The one in the middle is one of the-
I'm like, so that's where it's, I'm gonna ask, like obviously Mike to provide I guess there's a method to the madness to it, but I don't understand it, so until then. Yeah, so, so we will invite Cardinal to come to the next meeting, and obviously there's trimmings of the trees that are within the scope of the contract up to 8 feet, make sure that's done. And if it's not done, explain why it's not like part of the scope. And then I think the other parts were, you know, discuss these, we want to see renderings and a line by line of this capital expense of the shilling cutbacks, and then also the overall trimmings of the bigger trees like along the boulevard, which were for the $232,000 proposals, right? You want to understand what that means?
Yeah, I mean, looking at them, he's got them the same price for the same amount of trees, but they talk very different areas. Queen Anne Lakes, Collier, and one, and from Aaron Cutoff, you go on, sorry, one Queen Anne Lakes, which, understand Steve's point, they're not tall, they're not on the same side and diameter, and it's just like a blanket quote, yeah.
Okay, so we'll have them.
Further explanation, those two plus the other.
Alrighty. Alrighty, perfect. Any more questions regarding the landscaping?
I'm gonna send you satellite view, the area in question where the low hanging.
I was gonna ask you which ones you would push your streets, but the satellite view is great.
Alrighty, we're going to event managers report. Fallon, if you wouldn't mind coming a little closer, so for the rest of that, would be great. Thank you.
This month in July, we had a lot of new events as well as programs starting. So we had a pickleball session. Over 30 residents participated throughout the month of July to August. We had Casey's Swim School. The swim school is here today. More than 60 residents and non-residents also attended. And then the soccer summer program with over 30 residents and non-residents. Some of the events that we had in this past month, the attendance has increased over time. So we had from 5 households at the Bubble Wands, Cookies and Coloring, 6 Spirit Week. We had a good turnout there, especially for like the snow cones and all the residents like that. Our Alligator 101 seminar had pretty good turnout. Then we also had some yoga lessons this past month in August. We had 5 residents that showed up to that. They actually asked for more, I believe, bi-weekly or weekly sessions, so definitely a good lookout on that.
That's good social media feedback on that too. Residents asking for more, but they said they're gonna call you, so.
Yeah, even someone mentioned about like having the kids come to the sessions too, so I thought that was nice. We do have the flags that we had taken down from previous years. They're going to be donated to the local VA for their quarterly flag burn. And once I have the information, we'll release that to the community so they can attend if they'd like to.
The Boy Scout, the Boy Scout troop in the community is the one thing that they asked.
I was not able to contact them. I can get the information from you, or
Yeah,
if
let me
you
know,
don't have it.
Ryan on our troop, you know.
I don't know his last name, but I know it was Ryan. So, yeah, definitely. We can for sure hand it off to him. Yeah, I think it's over 40 flags. So, yeah, if they want to do that, that'd be awesome. And then we also have future projects, resident recommendations, a couple different things they were looking for. Something is like an exercise edition or an outdoor exercise path with the new, maybe like temporary playground we're looking at, either having like an exercise addition to it or even doing like a long walking path with like some exercise pieces. I've seen those at a lot of other like public parks. Could be a nice addition to our community. Clubhouse library or a little free library. 2 different options. One is free, one is a little bit of an investment on our part, but depends on really what the community would want out of it. 24/7 access versus Clubhouse open access. Also maybe moving like the bleachers on the soccer fields because that is one of the fields I think that is used more frequently than the volleyball court. But
The one that's over underneath the trees, that's kind of like nobody uses.
yeah, that one. Well, not even the one that's under the trees. Well, yes, there's one that's under these trees, but the one that's right by the volleyball court.
Yeah, there's one on the volleyball court, there's another one right
Way
back.
back.
Yeah, under the trees.
Yeah, so maybe moving it over like by the grill area, because it's also shaded in the typical part of the day when those people come around like 5 or 6. I usually see a lot of just like groups of residents and even like the soccer program as well, so just something to consider. And then I know we wanted to look at some of the September events as well, just like stuff that we have in mind. So we do have the monthly recurring game night where you bring your own board games, and thinking about another yoga session that month. We could definitely do bi-weekly as well, so.
How's the turnout been for the bring your own board game?
Sorry?
How's the turnout been for the bring your own board game?
We've had about 3 or 4 families show up each time so far, but they all like to participate. And then a couple of different ideas that we have for the month is having like a teen movie night. I know that we mostly have some of the younger kids that show up to a lot of these events. We're trying to figure out for our kind of older kid population.
How about a movie on the lawn?
What's up?
A movie on the lawn?
Yeah, that could be something to consider. I've seen, like the inflatable, like movie screens, or like you talked about bringing up your projector potentially. Not holding it out to you, but something to consider there. Or like doing a paint night. I've actually facilitated a paint night with my family during COVID. I would be willing to bring in supplies, because I have a ton of supplies from home. We just need to buy like the, canvas, yeah, pretty much, and some paintbrushes. And like a kid's craft as well, that we can also do. We can do all of the above, we can do some of the above, but, yeah. Any questions?
One thing that's on your list, and it's been asked a couple of times, is, setting a date for the garage sale.
Yes, so that was also a question, is if that is something that the HOA has coordinated in the past, or the CDD, because I'm open to it, but I know it's more on the residential side of things. Okay, yeah, we have,
I guess my question would be, the garage sales happen at each resident's house, correct?
Correct.
It's not an actual event that's happened on CDD
No,
property?
they did bring in the Goodwill truck, I think they organized the Goodwill truck, truck here like that day for all day, where people could bring their extra stuff after it was over, but no, it's each individual house. I think we have a sign store.
I have a question for the attorneys. The HOA declaration.
So no, we're not opening it up, like, we wait till I think we all said before the meeting that we would just keep it to the public forum. Okay, great.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I'm not going to
It's
get
your
what
meeting,
these board members told me to do. So.
There's another
okay.
section at the end.
Yes,
Comments,
yes,
so-
absolutely. All right.
I do have a comment. So the little free library, that was something that someone recommended online. I think Daniel offered to make it. I think we have some extra paint. I won't be painting it, or somebody way more creative than me. Maybe we could do that as a project of paint night, as that whole thing. But I think we have some questions. My thought was, could we potentially put it where we're removing the lockers, because it's covered. A lot of them, I think, are just a stake in the ground, but then it would be exposed to the elements.
Right.
Could we do something where we just put it in that area under the covered here, so that it's covered and not being exposed? And then we had some different ideas of what, but I think we could do it for free, really.
Yeah.
Because I just asked for suggestions from the community of, would anybody be willing to make it rather than us spending money to buy it? And Daniel offered. So I think we just need maybe some word feedback on, like, if we're okay with that, and then your guys' feedback on where it would go.
Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with that. I don't know if there's any, like,
Yeah, we can always figure out location. I think that's the easiest part of it. I think the part that the board needs to discuss is, one, do we want it? And two, how fast do we want it?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's super easy. Obviously, it's not gonna cost us any money. When I looked them up, a lot of them are on poles, and then they're like a little building on top of it, which is gonna be really top heavy if you don't have it stuck in the ground. So my thought was, can we do, I think Daniel said he has somebody who has cabinets they're getting rid of. We just repurpose a cabinet and sit it on the ground, but maybe put it on like a stand so it's not on the ground, but up a little higher. But it would be more stable than sticking it on a pole where it might tip over.
yeah. I mean, there's not really like one way to do it. I was actually looking at like the Little Free Library online, like their website, and they give you like recommendations to use like an old cabinet, something like that, and just put in like a plexiglass or some kind of glass piece to it. So we definitely could kind of figure out how to stand it up, stuff like that. Yeah, and it would be good to. Yeah, paint night, it could be all on the same thing if that's a good timeline for you.
And I think the bigger concern is if we were remove the lockers and put it back up, back up in that corner where it's protected from the weather and elements, is the next step is, okay, if we're gonna have it open to the community, more like, hey, you drop a boat, you take a boat, one of those, and then after hours, lock it up with a lock that you guys have, or, and maybe just express that to the workers' thoughts on how do we want to keep it locked overnight hours?
I think most of them are locked.
Most
I think
of them
it's
are.
just an honorary system.
Yeah, it's an
If
honorary
somebody
system.
steals all the books, then somebody steals all the books. They apparently really love to read, but
Yeah.
I
If you're stealing books, We got more to worry about.
Yeah.
Building it's the easy part, it's just a matter of figuring out how many books we will hold, how big the space we have, things like that, but that's something more, where are the books coming from? Would be a different question.
It's just people randomly put them in there, so I know I probably have some that I could throw in there.
I'll say, I guess to rephrase that, the initial stocking of it.
Yeah, I think we just say, hey, the free library's out there, it's empty right now, if you got anything, please.
I have some books in the like in the clubhouse right now that I've been waiting to put in the library actually. So yeah, no, I already have some.
There was some random stuff.
I'm sure that somebody has books that they've been needing to get rid of and whatnot. So it's all community led. So I think it's a great idea to put it where it is, and we definitely figure out the logistics of it.
Is that something we need a motion to approve here, or is that something we just do?
Spending money on it, so I think it's just direction. I don't think she has the direction.
So can you guys maybe work with Daniel and figure out what you think would be a good size? I mean, it doesn't have to be, I don't have any opinion on size other than, I mean, it needs to hold more than like 5 books, but, I mean.
You can get some for, a couple hundred.
That's what everyone's feeling, though, to be like right by the front door, and I tell you, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know. I don't know, it sounds very homemade and like rough things,
Well, anything's a fast improvement from what you're looking at.
Paint to make it look like the clubhouse, I mean, there's enough of it, set roof down.
Make it look like a house.
Yeah.
We can figure it out. Like I said, it could be collaborative. It could be big, man. Yeah, I'll look some up online, see what we can do with just standing it up and everything.
Okay.
All right. Was there anything else for Fallon? I know Ryan's going to talk about the top lots.
I want to go back to her, so we can get that.
Yes. I have 2 dates in mind. If we're doing it, that's the question.
Yeah, historically, have you guys done it on a certain date, or is it just something that?
I thought it was
October and it's like seasonal.
or late
Right.
March.
Yeah, it's like spring and fall.
So we would absolutely ask that if we were gonna do it in the fall time, we would ask for November time. We are deep in planning for your fall festival, and we're trying to get that to be in October. So I know that she's worked really hard on that fall festival with the changing of the budget as well. That's gonna kind of change a couple of things for us. But I would just ask if it's okay if we could just have it in November to give us some time for the fall festival in October.
Well, with that said, can we talk about that for a minute?
I was gonna say,
Figure it out, I mean, yeah, I like the anticipation or whatever, but I don't want to spend $8,600 feeding the community again this year.
No, we're not.
yeah, I think, well, and I think it's just important for you to know when people hear fall festival, they cringe. I think we've had a ton of complaints because of how it's been done before.
The company that was here.
Yeah,
So
we might,
I guess-
we might wanna call it something other than fall festival, that might help.
We can do that. I think
I know that
my,
sounds really dumb, but.
Yeah, no.
my understanding of the fall festival is that that was the event of the year at Dupree Lakes.
It was, but. it
So
wasn't-
we're definitely wanting to live up to expectations without spending 15 grand on food and
Well, let's put
stuff
that in
like that.
perspective for a second.
I'm sorry?
Let's put this into perspective for a second, I'll kind of give you a glimpse of what was and what won't. And everybody's thinking it's going to resonate with this in just a second, but they spent $8,600 getting barbecue from a local place and feeding the entire community. Well, that's a great gesture, it's also $8,600, if we're going to be health conscious, $8,600 is expensive. That's one. The second part of that was they hired some janky carnies to bring in unsafe equipment.
Okay.
And my child actually got hurt last year, and I'm not saying because it was my child, but the same aspect, I'm not advocating for anybody else's child.
Mine got knocked around
I'm
pretty
advocating
good
for my own.
stilts.
But when the manager guy was approached, it was not a positive experience for anyone that was around. So they had this little bungee jumpy thingy, they got like a bungee jumpy kind of thing or whatever, and they had slides and all, and like, when I say janky carny, it's like you go to the county fair that's in the middle of nowhere that you don't go to. So like I said, I don't know what you guys have in mind, but that's kind of a perspective of what we had and what we're, they had like some janky games and.
Well, yeah, let me go through what we thought through already.
We also paid for somebody to coordinate it all, by the way, like, so the clubhouse staff doesn't actually go in there paying for them to do it.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah.
We have a contractor come in and do the work, or like
What?
What was the question that you asked me, Jeff?
Well, that's what I was asking is, who's in charge of the thing, right? And usually there's contracts in place. So, and I know you guys are organizing it, which is perfect, but I didn't know sometimes you'll bring in like some food trucks, right? Food truck contracts, or you'll bring in a person to run the bounce house and equipment that has liability insurance and things like that. So I'm assuming GMS isn't running that part of it, like you'll have contractors lined up.
Correct.
But you don't have projects.
Yeah, so our plan so far is that we wanted to have 3 food trucks that residents pay for their own food, we wouldn't front that bill. From there, I think we got a good bounce house package with different games, a maze, or was it an obstacle course?
Not a maze, an obstacle course, it's like 175 feet.
175-foot obstacle course. We were looking into live music, live bands, those can get very, very expensive. So, yeah, we can get a DJ as well. I mean, we're still kind of going through it to figure out what we want to do, what we don't want to do, how much money is this, how much money is that. I think a live music, a band is just too expensive. It's a couple $1,000s. So a DJ would say was a lot of money. I think $300. I think I've gotten quotes for a 3-hour event. But that's what we have so far. Did you have anything else, Emma? Yeah. We were thinking about a roving magician, we were thinking about other stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of ideas bouncing around in our head. We want to make it a good event. We just want to make sure, one, that we know what budget we're working with, even if the HOA is getting involved, how much are they getting involved, so we know what we're working with for the entirety of the year. Because when we're working off of what you guys had allocated at the last year's budget. So I thought we were going to move forward. So I gave her a budget number for this specific event, and we kind of mapped out what the rest of the year would look like from that. So I think once we get those solid concrete numbers from the HOA of what they're willing to give, we'll be able to know more about what we're going to do at that point.
What's the date of the event? You think like October 10th?
Yeah, we're thinking about around Halloween.
Would you all normally bring it back and have a conversation about it here in September?
Well, I mean, the clubhouse staff usually just say whatever they want, I think.
Got it,
Whatever talk to
okay.
the CDD board about it, but we usually did like a trunk or treat at Halloween, so, and that seemed to be really popular, I think.
Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
Halloween, so
You
we
guys
get
do that on Halloween night?
No.
Yes.
Well,
It was usually the weekend.
Depends on when Halloween falls,
Yeah.
but usually it's a week
I
before.
think it's a Tuesday this year.
Yeah.
So the weekend before would be the date I was thinking
It's
of.
the
But I can change
26th,
it. Like the trunk or treat, we can do
Well,
that
I'm
too.
just,
Yeah.
you don't have to, I'm just throwing that out there because again,
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's an event that I think was popular, that wouldn't cost any money, it's just people showed up with stuff in their trunks, so.
Yeah.
Just something else to consider.
CDD bought stuff
Oh, they did?
with their credit card.
Okay, well.
And when it got
we're not
canceled
paying
last
attention.
year, it ended up somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Do you all want to have, and I'm not saying, there's so many ways to do this, so feel free to shoot this down or come up with other ideas, but do you all want them to bring proposal or something back to September? Do you want to designate a board supervisor to work with them? Because it feels like last year you didn't get what you wanted.
That's how it's gonna bring
That's why I come to these meetings, is for the drama, so.
Thought we weren't talking.
I think we got you, Boo. I think we've had great success with the events that we have done. You know, the Easter event on a week's notice like we did, it was a great turnout for that. All of Fallon's events were great, and I think we're just looking to do something a little bit next level for your folks. I know that's what the residents are, they're used to it. So we can absolutely bring to the next meeting a clear outline of what we want, how much each thing will cost. That way the board knows what we're spending, what it's going to, what we're gonna get for it. And then if you guys wanna add anything, take anything away, we can do so at that point and still have a month's worth of time to coordinate everything.
Were you thinking, Jared, about like you wanted to review like, you know, just.
I want to
try
see the
go line by
contracts,
line?
yeah, I want to see the contracts and the insurance, which is not a big deal, there's little forms, we can figure that out. The other piece though is I didn't know if someone had a burning desire to be part of that process. If so, we might want to designate that board supervisor who could work with staff on that. If you all don't, and you just want them to put it together and bring in an idea, that's fine. I'm just thinking you kind of have a short time frame to figure all this out. And so it might be good for y'all to have some input before the next meeting.
We do have a couple, we do have a couple community members that we reach out to for advice on some of these things. I mean, as we're here longer, we're gonna know this stuff off the top of our head. And I think right now we're relying on some of the community members to kind of help guide us through this process, and they've been a great help so far.
Well, I think you met with Jess, and she gave you some ideas on different stuff, that's where the ice cream truck came from. While we're on the ice cream truck, how well, did you find out the turnout, how?
I did not, no, I know that they definitely need their quota looking for, so yeah.
Are they willing to come back?
Yeah, no, they definitely would be, yeah, we can have them weekly, whatever the schedule looks like, but yeah.
It seemed very well received.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and people were showing up before they were here, before they were starting, so yeah, I think.
Yeah, and that's something that we can schedule food trucks for you if you guys like. There's really two ways to go about it. One, you have a scheduling company that can do that for you. They don't charge the district at all, they charge the food trucks a percentage of their sales for them. Good thing about using a company like that is they do all the health and safety checks, something that we won't be able to do if someone cancels. They 9 times out of 10 can replace that truck with someone else. That's another thing that we'll never be able to do if we're scheduling these ourselves. We're just not going to have the umbrella that these guys have. So I guess if the board wants us to schedule or wants us to just continue using the scheduling company, it's completely up to you. We can't do both, unfortunately.
Well, we did the food truck stuff during COVID, and kind of fell off after that, or whatever. It seemed like well received back then. Tried again, every other week or something like that.
Or maybe once a month, or,
Yeah, I think we start once a month, and if we see that it's a really great turnout and the people are running out of food, we change it to bi-weekly. And then if that's even better, we can change it to weekly. Start low, kind of build our way up. And people are just getting used to coming to the amenity center and enjoying themselves again, so.
One of the feedback that I've received from a few different people is just notifying what food trucks are here, rather than just saying there's a food truck, but actually saying what it is, maybe even providing a link, so they can go, like, look at the menu if they have a link.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the scheduling company provides as well. They provide a website with a landing page specifically for the community, so you can see what food truck is scheduled there weeks in advance. Before they're even here. And then you can actually order weeks in advance as well and have it ready for you at a specific time. These smaller trucks that we would be scheduling, most of the time typically don't have their business up and running at that point like that, so technology-wise. So my recommendation obviously is to use that scheduling firm to go ahead and schedule for you, and then they can cover the health and safety and handle their trucks accordingly.
And the contracts with them? Okay.
Yeah, I'd get that to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Before
That'd be great.
execution or anything, yeah.
I think it's like the easiest way to handle that, call them and say, hey, on whatever day, we need 2, we need 1, 4, or whatever.
For the lunch and dinner, when dessert charge you guys, or something like that.
Yeah, you can make special requests with them as well. We want a dinner and dessert, we want morning coffee and snow cone, whatever. They have a huge umbrella, a huge network of trucks.
Well, the more inviting we can come.
That's the goal, absolutely, yep, absolutely.
Trying to bring back that welcome.
So, I think we've had some good discussion on that. Now we've got, no, I'm not meaning like that. Hold on.
We still have, we need to set the yard sale.
The what?
Yard sale. I've seen too many comments about it online.
Between the two, I'd lean towards the 9th, because the 16th is getting really close to Thanksgiving.
Motion number 9, won't get it out. Second.
All right, so we just take staff direction.
I think it's probably fine. I mean, it sounds like it's one of the amenity events that's under y'all's GMS's purview, so it's probably fine. Again, I'm assuming y'all don't need any further input from the board on how to set up the yards.
No, it sounds like they do that themselves, and we just kind of advertise.
Yeah, we have the big signs on.
Yeah, we definitely see the signs, because we came on about a week before that yard sale happened, and I was getting calls left and right, where are the signs? Don't even know what we're talking about.
What were they doing?
Exactly.
So we've got the yard sale, we're set for the 9th of November, correct?
Yes, next.
Okay, great. Now we've got the play structures. So let's, Brian, let's
Yes.
talk about that.
So at the last meeting, we went over a few quotes for repair, and the board decided that's $18,000, which is too much to repair the current system, that's the current playground that we have. The board came up with a couple of different ideas to try to supplement something in the meantime while we get that project started. So as you see here, I reached out to both the vendors, to find a low-cost structure that we could put on at a different location on the center while we were working on that project. So you have three options in front of you for some wooden play structures, small top lights, all under $5,000. Totally installed, that we can put in a different location. Even you guys have quotes in here for some swing sets as well. If you guys just wanted to simply put a set up on the other, and then we'll tackle that. I think that's probably going to be the best case scenario. So very important to note that the wooden structures aren't exactly commercial. Those are for residential, usually built for residential, however, could be a good solution in the meantime until we can get your proper playground up and running, especially with the specs that you guys want. Extending that fence line, adding more stuff, maybe, you know, it gives us some time to think about it while still keeping the residents happy with something for their kids to do while they're on site. That's an important project. We want to make sure that we get it right. You're going to have to live with it for 15 to 20 years. Making changes once it's in the ground is impossible, if not very difficult. So.
The wooden ones too?
No, we're talking about yeah.
Brian, location-wise, where are we thinking of putting the temporary one?
So there's a couple of locations that I was looking at. There's right behind the soccer field right there, there's kind of a couple of trees that provide a little bit of shade. There's enough space for, I believe, that middle one that you guys have here for the $4,500. Yeah. So I think there's enough space for that one. Additionally, there is some space next to the volleyball court, but then we're getting a little bit close to the lake there, and there's kids. So I'm trying to stay as far away from the lake as possible while still kind of not encroaching on the soccer field, as well as it's logistical kind of nightmare when it comes to that. However, there are a couple spots where we could realistically put any one of these structures and be okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I think I do remember Clayton saying that there was like a legal requirement to have a certain thickness of mulch or something like that. Like, so this playground, is that applied to swing too?
I believe so. I didn't ask that specifically, to be honest, but I can get that clarification.
2 inches and 3 inches.
I think the direction what we're looking for, so what do you guys want us to look at? Is it so do we like the swings, or do we want to look at?
Have we gotten any kind of councils on doing a residential application, commercial setting? From a liability perspective.
Say more about that.
So you're putting a wood residential structure in a community, and the liability associated with not using a commercial, even if it's temporary.
So, I'm not that familiar with what you're talking about. If you're talking about, yeah, go ahead.
So
Yeah.
this is made out of metal commercial grade.
Got it.
This is made for someone's backyard. So the
gotcha.
liability of having a residential as opposed to.
You know what I would do? I would run it by Aegis, our insurance carrier,
Yeah.
and they'll be able to tell us. Yeah.
I mean, I personally prefer the commercial with the one, but I know that probably see the purpose.
Well, I think the community wants a swing set, regardless. So I think, if we put a swing set, whether it's in the main playground right here or off to the side over there, I think they're gonna be extremely happy. And that, again, is a great solution in the meantime while we figure out that big playground.
Other thing we should look at is the manufacturer's guidelines, which is, I think, what you're getting at, and see, hey, is this appropriate for a community like this? And they may have specific instructions.
Maybe a use, like you can't use this in a commercial setting, or maybe a warranty or an invalid warranty situation, you can't use this in a commercial setting. I think it's a great idea to get us by until we can make sure this.
So can we agree with the board that let's look at trying to find a swing set, commercial grade, and find it where it goes, rather than kind of, because if we go beyond swings, we're going to be spending a lot of money on like a top lot. Like, it's not going to just be 5 swing set where it looks like we've got something that's within range and it's not super expensive. If we do more of a play structure, they start getting up there in price. which is what we're gonna spend all of that money and focus on there.
Right.
So do we, like, I think it's, let's get a good swing set and where it can go, and then September, let's get all of the, ask the questions to Aegis and make sure that the right drop zone area is, like, it's applied to this.
Yeah,
But I think you just need to know, what do you guys want me to do, because it's kind of,
the green swing set.
So
I was gonna
Yeah, I
recommend
like the model
Yeah.
4774.
4074.
yeah, that's,
Instead of throwing the money away and then the lumber that's gonna deteriorate and have splinters and all.
Yeah, no, my recommendation, I think, in management is gonna be this commercial swing set. The playground at the top lots that I presented was just something that I got for you guys, that you guys had kind of asked for at the last meeting, give us solutions, get creative. That was my solution. I didn't want it to cost you guys $15,000, we just declined a $17,000 repair. So I wanted to keep it low cost, but also that's why I went and got the swing sets, because I know you guys needed a solution for that as well, and this could be supplemental.
I know I'm beating a dead horse, but just since you brought it up, anytime we're buying something, we should look and see what the manufacturer's guidelines say. It usually comes with the product, right? And I know like with a pool slide, it'll tell you this is appropriate for this type of community. This is how often you have to maintain it and things like that. And we just make sure we're following all that stuff, so we don't get I'm sure that's what you just gonna tell us.
So I had talked to Brian kind of about this whole play area, and one thing that they suggested was that this is a project we have a board member be a liaison for, because we really need to get moving also on figuring out what it is we want long-term and when we're going to do that. So I would like to volunteer, if you guys are okay with that, to work with them to figure out, because we've been down since what, February, and we still have no idea what we're doing. So as far as like what's going in there, so I would love, maybe, I don't know if we can do it by the September meeting, but
We
kind of
can-
figure out what the plan is for
So,
that area.
I think what I'd be looking for from the board here is just to give you the go-ahead to work with one vendor as opposed to the three that we've been working with. It is a nightmare to get them on the phone, get them out here to do another site visit, to kind of logistically plan everything out.
well, this one, like, Playtown Cove Bay, we've used them.
We've used them in other districts, as well as they were the only company that's been willing to provide me with the quotes that you're seeing here today. The other two companies did not want to go with the wooden one. They said that they just wouldn't do it. It's not something they offer. And then I'm still waiting on a quote for the swing set, and it's been a couple of weeks now. So this guy's been on top of his game. He's been responsive. I would like to just work with him moving forward, and I can set up a Zoom call with you, Janelle, with him, and we can go over what the community wants. And I think Janelle's completely right. I could have a talk with her and say, you guys represent the community. You guys know your community. You guys are on the Facebook page. You talk to your neighbors. I'm a third party, and I hear, it's like a telephone game. I hear what you guys are saying, but, not giving it to them. So I think,
My biggest concern is, one, do we have adequate area that we're designated for, in the meantime, while we're working on that one? Two is that one, this temporary one, it would be a permanent fixture to either behind the soccer goal, behind that area like you're talking about, and we can get there.
This is not,
Supplement the one that we have over there.
right, yeah, this is no longer temporary. If you guys want the swing set, that is a permanent swing set, it's gonna stay there. He's been on site, this specific vendor, been on site twice, from St. Pete. He's driven out here to take a look at it, and he said that he's got some ideas for location. I actually got on a Zoom call with him and just shared a screen share and brought up the map with you guys, and we went over different locations, we went over extending the fence line, all that good stuff. So he's really confident that he can fit in that swing set without there being any service interruptions in any other areas within the amenity center.
But also, if we can figure out long-term what we're going to do we need to spend the $7,000 plus whatever the base is going to be? If we're gonna have to build out a base and put mulch down, it's gonna be more than $7,000. Do we need to even spend that money if we can just figure out what we wanna do over there and the timeline? So maybe we don't need to spend the money on the temporary, but we don't know because we haven't figured out
Yeah, I
what we
think
want to do.
just with play structures, when you order those, you're anywhere between a 12 to 16 week turnaround time. So that's if you guys can wait 3 to 4 months, maybe. Look, I think what we do, we find out what the true cost is for this winter, where that's going to go. You've now got direction with the board to work with Janelle on something great over here in this play area. Like you get on that Zoom, and then I think I appreciate that he's actually trying to you know, we spoke about making it bigger.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
working with.
Right.
Do that for like an emergency alternative.
Right, so we've got the one vendor, I think we can start making strides moving forward now.
What we can do is we can hold off on the swing set until next month at minimum, and then me and Janelle can get on the phone with the vendor. If we can make any progress on that big project, we'll come to the next meeting and say, hey, we can actually get this done in this time frame. If we can't, we should probably think about the swing set.
Yeah, no, I think this was it's a good alternative because it's such a big expenditure, we don't want to rush.
Well, it's a big responsibility, I mean, it's 15 to 20 years that these things last, so I mean, that's big decisions, that's not an easy decision, so we gotta make sure that we get it right.
I know.
Hey, we're releasing transcription here, because we're all talking, I just wanna, hey, man, listen to what you guys are talking
I
to.
think that's important for the community to know that the reason that the playground hasn't been repaired is because it is such a big ticket item, and we're trying to be careful about making a decision, because it's a long-term expensive
important,
commitment, and so that can delay it.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that.
Okay,
Thank you, Brian.
lastly, Brian, you wanna talk about these,
Yes,
pool resurfacing?
Bennett and I had, this is another pool resurfacing quote here that I forgot to include in your agenda packages. Bennett and I had a meeting with your current vendor, who you're planning to use, the works. He is not able to push up this project this year. He is 18 months booked out. Your pool is not in the worst shape, however, another huge piece of Marsite broke off. So that tennis ball size spot that you used to have is now the size of a volleyball.
Same spot.
Same spot, yeah, broke off in the same spot, so.
It was fast though, right?
The small tennis ball was patched, correct. Now it's even bigger, and our pool vendor does not have the capacity to fill that. So I spoke with the works,
Can
and
we warranty that? Was there any warranty on that?
not for something like that. Yeah, it's a breakdown of a pool surface, and it's just continually breaking down, yeah. So, I reached out to the works. They did say on the phone call that they would come and put reinforcement in those types of Marsite breakdowns to a certain extent. If it was too big, they said that they would have to charge us for it. They can't push up their project to this winter. So I went ahead with that information and got you guys 2 more quotes that you see in front of you. One from Vermont, one from Arrington. There's some pretty significant price differences. That's one big quote. Yep. And then the other one's in the agenda. Sorry. So you have the one that you currently have, which, well, if I remember correctly, Jason, you said it was $125,000.
Where this last pad was
Yeah.
sorry.
And then the one from Vermont here, you've got a total price of $147,505. And then the one from Arrington is $115,500. So one thing that I do want to point out on the Arrington quote is that on the second page in red letters, if we wanted to replace the lights in your pool with LEDs, there's an additional price for that, which is something that we would absolutely want the district to go with. If we were going to do a pool resurface, we would absolutely recommend that you guys switch that. I believe so.
How many lights are there?
I haven't counted. I'm going to assume that you have at least 4 of them, one on each sidewall of your pool.
So
Could
where
be.
was the whole pool and water's in there, like, and where the water and?
No, it's not. You don't have a pool leak. No. You still have integrity in your surface. It's just the Marsite. Kind of, yes. Yes. So we're going to get it filled. So it's not going to be a liability to the district. It's okay for now.
So, Brian, can we get, so that we're gonna have pool works fixed, fix the Marsite, because they said they'll come out and do that.
Correct.
Do you think that it would be wise for the board to seek another, because I know there's a couple of other pool vendors that we work with, executive pools, I know that you work with them, those guys. What is your recommendation, what you need? Like, is it, because we haven't seen any design or when I say design, like, you know, like colors or anything like this, like, do you need us to pick a vendor, or do you want another quote? In September, pick one vendor to work with, and then.
I think let's get through the month of August and halfway through September, obviously. Let me get another quote from Executive Pools, who we've worked with at a couple of other districts. They do great work. And then I'd also like to invite the pool vendor out here to your next meeting and have him talk to you guys one-on-one about the condition of your pool, what timeline we're looking at. Can we last another year? Can we wait till next winter for your current contracted vendor to complete that work? We really on a crunch and we need to get this done. He's going to be the professional on that site, so I think that's going to be our best piece.
Also, my biggest question is these other two vendors, did they believe that they have the capability to do this before
Absolutely.
next year?
Absolutely. They could be here within 2 months if we needed them.
And are the scopes the same? Because I know one of them doesn't have a splash pad, and then also just sort of the language looks pretty different. And I'm not.
The one on the agenda packet, it does have a splash pad if you scroll.
No, I saw that piece, but like the Vermont doesn't have it. Just didn't see it.
I don't think they specifically wrote it out, but they were to include both.
You know what might be?
It says there's 5 lights, by the way.
Oh, perfect, there you go, yes.
Where is it?
On the Vermont.
It says 5 lights, they're asking how many lights they had.
Oh, lights, yeah, but it's not the splash pad. I'm just saying that's significantly different in terms of the price, because it doesn't include, you know, Pool Works was 83 for the pool resurface and another 40 for the splash pad, and then Armada's got like 15 for the splash pad, so they're all pretty different. I wonder if we could get like a single scope and then send it to all of them and get the price.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like we did a better deal if we get one vendor to do all the work, so, for the pool.
And maybe the pool contractor could help, maybe we put the scope with you too or something.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So do we want the pool vendor to work on one scope and then provide that to all the vendors? Or, because every company bids differently.
Yeah.
And I know like the Pebble is a popular surface, and I think everyone's bidded the Pebble, correct?
Yes, yeah, Pebble is a new creative stone because it comes with a pretty big one.
Yeah, it's a different one.
So we definitely got the Pebble, but then it's, what else? Why are you 50,000 more than another company?
And some might be like replacing the water line tile, and some might not be, and, I mean, this would be another.
So do we just want to go off the?
Yeah, it's a good
So
idea.
to be completely honest with the board, I got this Vermont quote almost when I first came on
You're doing
board.
great.
Yeah, I came on board, I got this quote, I'm using it now. So if the board will allow me to, I would like to get more of an apples to apples quote from all 3 of the vendors, or actually a 4th vendor as well, Executive Pools.
Do we want to use this scope from the Pool Works?
Yeah.
We use that
I
scope?
believe so.
That's probably.
And then I'd also recommend that consultant that we use as well.
Yes, yes. We get price from him?
Yep.
Do you want to go under the liaison, because it makes our meeting more efficient too. If we have
I think it does, and you got some buy-in with someone from the.
Yeah.
You pool
I
lady?
have a pool, and I maintain, no, but yeah, I'm the
Absolutely.
nobody
I
else.
mean, I know you got like a line right now, if you don't want to do it.
Yeah, I do have a lot on my own.
If you don't want to do it, I'll do it.
No?
Yeah. I just, you design your pool anything.
Yeah, or ask Jason if you have any questions for me. But I think-
That's fine. I was like, I know you got like a line, so.
Thank you, yeah, we'll look at that.
And Jason, if you want, maybe just add to the minutes, like I know, Joe was doing, one little early, like you maybe just put that in the minutes so it's super clear, and then people aren't stepping on each other, yeah. Sounds like Glenn's gonna take this one.
Glenn is going to be the liaison for the pool resurface. Okay, so we're going to work with that.
That was it. This was a lot of informational quotes rather than decision-making quotes, so I'm glad that we were honing in on this stuff.
The other piece of this is the Pool Works contract, which, I remember Steve, I was working on the termination language a year or so ago. He does require us to give them some notice before they start ordering materials. I don't know if there's any rush to do that, but I'm gonna put on my calendar that we make sure we send that notice by the year end or something, so we're dead.
Makes sense, still 12 months in advance, but I think the termination clause will be 60 or 90 days.
Ours is 7 days, if we can terminate 7 days. So, no, that's what it is.
Did Brian have that original quote? Because I think the scope of work was much more detailed.
Yes.
And that might help, yeah.
You try that once the report works?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
I think Ben sent it before, prior to our meeting too.
So, with that, we've got, I'm looking at the meeting follow-up notes. Staff has a lot going on, like now, like we've been given another full plate, we took stuff off. We've got all full stuff, I think we need to stop adding to it, if we can, so we can actually. Just stop adding to it, so then if we, we can have a productive September meeting. No, I'm just trying to, let's, I know that Brian's, I don't want us to keep adding stuff to the next, like, agenda or more things for the stuff to get done.
I'll get as much done as I can in 30 days.
All right?
Hold you accountable, Brian.
Perfect. All right.
Alright, next.
Yeah. So we've got, Jeff, we jumped over your report.
No, it's okay, my items are actually covered under the other items on the agenda, so most of our questions for me, I think I appreciate it.
All right. Next item on the agenda under district managers report, I've got, it says discussion of the fiscal year 25 insurance schedule. This is part of your agenda packet for your guys' review. This will be, you'll be reinstated in your insurance policy October 1st. If you guys have any changes to the policy numbers, please let me know. We can, and I can increase, lower these. But these are Aegis's recommended numbers.
That's the schedule of stuffs, right?
Correct. Yes.
That was on one of my emails too.
So you said the golf cart, it wasn't added, but it is.
Pressure washer, rather.
We've got the Kubota. Okay, we can add that under on the second, the inland marina. We can add it onto that schedule. You see it on the page 160 on my agenda. What's that on your one? Glenn?
92, 91.
Add the.
I mean, we talked about this before, it's an item that I don't foresee us continuing to use. I know we had talked about your disposal of district property, or sale of district property, or whatever, and that was one of the things that, that was brought up was, pressure washing trailers.
I was making my note on the pool contract, so plug me in here, we've got some.
So there's a pressure washing trailer, it's a trailer with pressure washer, above the
Okay.
tank, and I think it's a service cleaner, and
Okay.
back there, whatever. The quote-unquote red tanks that we used to have 2 or 3 years ago, used it, we now pay a company to do this, so it's a district asset that can be sold.
Okay, it has value, too?
I mean, I can get an estimated value from.
No, it's don't go into it, but it has some value.
There's-
Okay.
Absolutely.
$1,500.
Yeah, okay. Let me look at the process, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but there's a little statute you need to follow, but it's not.
Right.
So, okay, let me add that
It
earlier.
just sits back there in the way, and I don't ever see it.
So we don't want to add it to the insurance schedule. We just want to look at it because we're looking to get rid of it or not.
I mean, if it's an issue of somebody goes back there, steals the golf cart, or the motor, and, on that trailer, I mean, if it needs to be on the insurance schedule for us to be reimbursed for, it's under coverage.
So I'll add the trailer for $2,000, or how much would you want us to insure it for?
Units, 2,000, trailers, another 1,000, the tanks are 350.
5,000.
Replacement cost is probably 5,000.
Okay, it's really not, that won't really add so much, but I'll add that to your insurance schedule, so October 1st, that will be in effect.
And it would take me no more than 15 minutes, since that's the value of the trailer. I won't spend much
So I can tell you.
Yeah, I know which stats to look at, so just give me a minute to do that. Get back to you here.
Next on your agenda, you've got consideration of goals and objectives for fiscal year 25. Jed, do you want to just touch on that, what the goals and objectives are, and why we're doing this?
There's a new statutory requirement where the legislature wants districts to have some clear objectives and goals. And then what's supposed to happen is you adopt them this fiscal year, you come back a year later, And then by December 1st of next year, you need to measure whether you've evaluated them. The objectives need to be clear and measurable, but it doesn't say how many, it doesn't say what type or anything like that. So we've got some samples that we can,
Yeah,
we
so
can
what
look at.
we've
Go
done,
ahead.
so GMS, what we've done, we've actually gone ahead and created your goals and objectives. This is one of those tick the boxes to make sure that this is a draft that we need to submit by October 1st. We don't actually need to submit this to, I believe the state doesn't need to go in until 2025.
Next year, December, yeah.
But we've gone through, this is a template that we've created for all of our districts. It's very simple, check the box and make sure.
They're all measurable. I think GMS did a great job of this. They're all measurable, and it's things that we're basically doing anyway, and that we're fine being accountable for, right? So I would just, if y'all are comfortable with it, we can move the item, if not.
I think we should put a board member attendance in there. So we like.
It's another thing that they've got to track.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you guys all show.
We do, but there's been things that happen.
Right. Oh, okay.
And, you know, it's important to be like, present, glad.
Do you need a motion to pass on?
Yes, please, with a
Motion.
motion.
Second. I read over it, I think it looks good, and they're all easily measurables that are legitimate measurables, not like we're guessing something, so.
All in favour? Motion passes. The next item in your agenda, you've got the financial reports, items A, B, and C. The only one I'll be looking for a motion is approval of the check run summary. Didn't receive any changes before the meeting.
Good question.
Your question?
Check register, $561, clubhouse supplies, there's no expense report associated.
For this month?
Maybe, I don't know, I don't think I'll just put it on there.
Just double check, like, I just want to see if this is a check.
We didn't have any receipts this time. Was that just because the packet was so big already? Like normally we have the providing receipt, like all of the receipts for everything on the check run, and we didn't have any of them this time.
So, they were circulated, well, we've got the check run summary, and I can make sure that they're included. I guess Nicole didn't, so you want to see the backup for all of these checks? Is that what you're looking for?
Usually included invoices
Yeah,
associated.
we can, I can circulate that immediately, like, so everything that we've got here, like, I've seen the check register, so and the backup, so every single one of these invoices has backup for it. So which one was it, then that you're looking for?
It's on the last page of the check run summary, it's dated 7/2.
The 561 for clubhouse, supplies?
That's vague, there's no receipt, there's no expense report, there's nothing
Well,
associated with what it is.
we have it, I can circulate it like after the meeting, because I've got the whole backup for this, but I'll have to look back to see where it is. But Steve's right, you typically do
But it's
attach
actually
the-
there, so.
Yeah. But yes, with the size of the agenda, we can kind of pack you up with it, so.
And then is Curtis paid in full?
Curtis-
Their last invoice.
Their last invoice, so you see that they have a prorate for July, and we have not received that yet, unless it's been paid in the second or third week in August.
Okay.
But we should anticipate that one, and then that's where, speaking with Daniel today, we'll be splitting that cost with the HOA, and the HOA have been, they're notified, they provided payment for all prior invoices for Curtis.
Right.
So, which is great.
Has all the insurance information for the sign that's all the expenses?
To my knowledge, yes. Let me put that on my.
Doesn't it still?
No, let me put that, like, hey, no, I missed it, I missed that one, like, you know, that, let me follow up on that with the
Okay.
insurance. I know that it's out there, but I know that that's, no, and I don't know if Tom has an update on the submitting for the insurance. Let me double check what else needs to go with that insurance claim.
And can you also get a total for us for what that whole bill's gonna be?
Yes, the total amount, I think the total amount, is, I think it's around $1,200, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll get that for you. Ready? We have a motion to approve the check run summary.
Second.
Steve Short, all in favour? Ready, motion passes. Next item, we have a supervisor's request, and then I'll move to audience comments.
I just have one question on security. I know that was a closed meeting. Do we need to have another closed session to go through that? We haven't made any decisions, so what are our next steps for that? There was supposed to be some big quotes and.
So, with the budget and everything that we had for this meeting, we knew that we were going to be tabling it.
Yeah.
Do we want to put it on the September meeting and advertise for a closed session? Brian, are you in a better position? Do you want to do September or is it October? What do you think? What's better for you?
September, obviously, we want that as soon as possible, but if the board needs to wait till October, we can collect it.
Can you set up a meeting prior, I guess we're going to do it in September, can you set up a meeting prior to that with, CDD and, I can sit down with them?
He's been asking for the same.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, we can set that up, not a problem.
Tom and I met with the guy, and I'm still working on the phone, so. Don't let me know.
Sorry to hear.
So we're going to advertise for a closed session for that. Let's see what that meeting date is.
Is it possible to get the quotes ahead of time so we can review? Well, I guess they'll come in the agenda packet, right?
Well, not
Oh,
in the
no, they
same
won't.
session.
Okay.
We print those out. I mean,
Okay. Just nice.
if you want, if you guys remember, I did send you a pretty lengthy email. Those quotes are still
Okay,
gonna be good, and all that information is still gonna be accurate.
okay. Were you getting another, that was one, right?
And then there was gonna be a third one that you requested, and the company that I went to get the third one, turned around and just gave me another Brivo quote, which is what I didn't want. They used to use PDK, and then all of a sudden he's like, I don't wanna use PDK, here's Brivo. I'm like, oh, I presented a quote for Brivo, so I'm trying to find a third vendor to provide us a quote.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty.
5 minute recess? 5 minute recess?
Well, we've still got a problem if you need to step out. And, well, you said you needed to leave at 8:30, so is there any issues with Regan leaving now? No?
It's a parking lot.
I'm ready.
Well done.
We're ready. Any more supervisors' requests?
Trees, everything I had, we're talking the wood violence.
Bringing up the trees at 8 feet. Okay, I got that on my, I'd like to follow up with Carl, and obviously when you do get to speak with them, we will. So yeah, we'll work with them to make sure that they're lifted to 8 feet.
Yeah, you're going to chat about it.
Any more supervisors' requests?
The only concern I have, there was a tree on this section of the entrance turned into Dupree Lakes. It came down under some, I'm pretty sure it's on CD property.
Oh, the one down here coming in from the,
When you come in on
one
the
side of you turning in.
turning in, turning
Fall
around,
over
yeah.
the weeds, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Is this the one?
No, that one's on the sidewalk.
That was on the top.
Okay, a different one.
So this one is as you're turning in from Aaron Cutoff,
Coming from 41.
coming from 41, coming north on Aaron Cutoff, you turn into Dupree Lakes. It's on the right side, on the CD side, but it's leaning towards the walkway. And it looks like a widowmaker, it's basically a oak tree that's hung up between two other trees.
All right, so you make sure that that's on your list. Cardinal. All right. Any more?
We didn't talk about the umbrellas.
We decided for September, it's been a pretty long meeting, summer's over with. If you guys wanna talk about it, we certainly can.
We want to talk about it now.
Yeah, we can get it out of the way, absolutely. So at the last meeting, we brought you guys a quote for, commercial grade umbrellas. I think $3,800 to be exact. The board said that Costco offers them for much cheaper. So we went ahead and did some research for some commercial grade umbrellas, and these are the options that we find that we were comfortable with presenting at a commercial grade. So you have one here from Patio Contract, around a couple $100 off of what we had last month at $3,300, $3,356.89. And then you have this one from Webster Store at $1,882.38. And that, those are really cheap for being sunbrella material and commercial grade. So if the board wanted us to move forward with one of these, we certainly can. Also, just keep in mind, summer is over, pool is not being used as much as it used to be. We may be able
That was
to
summer
hold off until the next.
Summer's got
Another month and a half.
We still got 3 months of hot sun.
Well, what I mean is when I say summer's over, the kids are back in school. That's what I mean. That's our summer. That's, in this industry, that's our summer. So, we're not seeing as much traffic up here on the weekdays that we do when the school is out. So that's what I'm referring to.
But are the weekends still hammered or?
We do have, we do have cheap areas. Has been a good turnout for the most part, but not more than I've seen on the weekdays during the summer. I've only worked 2 Sundays.
I mean, $1,800 for 6 umbrellas and bases is pretty cheap. I'll let you guys know.
Really cheap on the
Well, it's big. Thinking of buying them.
Do we have umbrellas? I mean, this is the amount of umbrellas we have now?
We have
Or we only have-
0 umbrellas, yes.
It must be freestanding, so they don't have to be on tables.
You know, it's sort of shade is finish.
This overhang right here.
Well, yeah.
Have money for it?
Brian, if we were to move forward, where would, I guess, storage spot, where would we put it? The shed right here, or?
Well, that would be on the pool deck. I mean, I think the only reason we would bring them off the pool deck is if there's a hurricane coming, at that point, we would bring them inside, along with the rest of your pool furniture and whatnot.
If we need to store them during the winter, have plenty of room to do that.
Yeah, you got a whole shed back there, you guys have a great amount of storage.
So do you guys feel confident that you'd like to move forward with this? If we do, we'd have to open this up. Do we have any comments on the pool furniture? Ready? Would the board member want to make a motion for the purchase of the patio furniture? Okay, what is it for, just to clarify?
The Webster store, the $1,882, I did see their bases are actually, 10 pounds heavier, and there's, I think, any warranty information from the other company, where this one actually has warranty information, 5-year warranty, so.
Steve, do you have anything?
No, I think we needed.
Alrighty, do you want to second that, Steve?
Second.
Alrighty, all in favour? Janelle, is that a yes or a no?
I'm probably no.
Okay, so no, is it a yes or no? I need
No.
Okay, 3, no. All right, well, obviously with that, that's a 3-1, so, that has passed. All right, so you've got your direction for that one. All right, do we have any, other requests from the board? No, we're gonna open this up to audience comments. Do we have any audience comments? And then if we want to just take a name and address, we'll go over it. Donald, you're first. I see your name.
Sure, Don Murphy, 709 Cherokee Road Place. I noticed on the umbrella issue, you actually asked for audience input before you voted on that? I'm just asking, is that standard practice before you take the vote to get audience input on issues?
No, not necessarily. So if it's an agenda item, you'll have an audience comment period at the beginning of the agenda. If it's a new item, then you're supposed to get audience comments.
Okay, so like voting on the yard sale was a new item because I didn't see it on the agenda. But they shut down audience comment on that.
Well, some of the yard sale stuff, as I understand it, is kind of like within the amenities scope, so when we talked about the yard sign, the yard sale, when we talked about the fall festival, some of that stuff, I really wasn't sure if that's something we need to vote on or not.
I didn't know if I could interrupt to raise a
Staff
point.
direction that was, when I asked for that, I asked for staff direction, we moved forward with the yard sale, so it's kind of.
But I wanted to raise a legal point of order, and you can weigh in on this, but the Declaration of Covenants, Codes, and Restrictions, the CCRs for the HOA, specifically grant them the authority to set the yard sale date. There's nothing that grants the CDD the authority to do so. And two members of the board, since they coexist on the HOA, should know that and should have coordinated with the HOA to set that date and communicated that back to you guys.
We'll coordinate that next meeting.
But that has been an ongoing problem with the CDD, has always usurped that authority from the HOA.
So you can still coordinate that. Now we've established a date, the CDD says we want to establish, you can move forward and establish that with the HOA, is that right?
I'll take care of that next meeting.
Okay.
And then I also had a question, discussion came up tonight about the HOA giving money to the CDD. Are there any legal agreements or contracts between those two parties for that money?
So, it depends on what we're doing, right? If the HOA, and there's HOA rules about their use of money too, so that's not within our scope of what. we
Yeah,
can
I'm
do.
not just talking general terms, I mean
But yeah,
specifically for
generally
this sum of
speaking,
money that
if
transfers.
someone wants to give us cash, we'll take it, right? So that part's easy. If there's something that we need to do back and forth where the HOA is gonna do something for us, or we're gonna do something for the HOA, then we'll write up an agreement.
Okay.
But
But any
if they
board
just give
of
us cash,
Any directors or board members that have joint membership of both committees should disclose that prior to voting on any issues pertaining to that
you know,
Vote on an issue pertaining to that.
budget.
I mean, I don't know. There are, obviously, there are ethics rules in place. I'd have to look at, and it's been a long time since I've looked at this, but the HOA folks are volunteers, and so I don't know that it's a conflict. I think where I see issues primarily with HOAs, when you've got HOA board members who are also serving on CD, is if they're talking about CD business at the HOA meeting and it's not a notice meeting, that's kind of where I see that issue. But I think the ethics thing, I think there's an AG opinion on this, where the HOA folks, because they're volunteers, I don't know that it's a
But it's still a Florida nonprofit corporation, so it is an entity that is responsible.
Honestly, it's beyond the scope of my memory, and also it's sort of an area.
And
outside my
I'm
expertise.
sure that's my 3-minute timer, so I'll just throw in my last comment, which is if you do take money for this HOA for the fall festival or whatever we're gonna call that, I would encourage you to get some written agreement down so that both parties have something written down that they can present to their people they represent.
Yeah,
Why
it's a
money's being
good
transferred.
thought. I mean, especially if they want us to use it for a specific purpose, I think that's where you have a little letter agreement or something to document it. It also helps for the accounting purposes as well. So,
I think their idea was to put it in the special events fund.
There you
Not
go.
anything specific, but it would increase their special events fund, that would give them more money to
Yeah.
create event, we would specify that it would go into that line item on the budget, but I don't think.
And the HOA can always say no.
Right.
If they
Yeah.
want to, it's just, kind of.
I would love to
It's
see
coming
it.
out of the same person's pocket, once the HOA, once the
Right.
CDD, but.
So, Brian, what he's saying, if you, I don't know, I'm looking at you, but maybe you're not the right person, whoever's coordinating with the HOA, just let Ben or myself know, and we can document it with a letter, and then you've got the accounting record.
We would want to do a cost share agreement with them
Yeah.
on events, that's what we're.
For sure on events.
Yeah, it would not go undocumented.
No,
Yeah.
no, there's, cost share agreement with anything, from the HOA, we would be greatly appreciated to make awesome events for this district. Yeah, alrighty, thank you, Don. Any other resident comments? Yes.
So the library for the books, do we have any concerns regarding the subject matter of the books? If everyone would be exposed to them, children, adults, and who would be monitoring that? Because there are some books that would be inappropriate for children. So who would be monitoring what goes in that library? Because I don't think we want to expose children to things they shouldn't have.
Very good point.
What is our current security, since we've gotten rid of the security? What is the security on this building currently? Huh? ADP? ADT, sorry. Okay, I just wanted, there wasn't any announcement on what the existing security would be. And then, as far as the fall festival, I've made this suggestion in the past because it's always been very geared toward children. So please keep in mind that a lot of this community are Gen X, and we don't want to do climbing walls and things like that. And I've suggested an adult-only beer garden where you can bring your own, because I understand that people can bring their, if they bring their own, it is okay. That's what you guys told me in the past, so now you're saying nope.
The policy is right now, there is no alcohol.
Okay, so whatever, but maybe just have an adult-only area where no children are going to be running
I
around.
think we can do some adult-themed events, but I think the fall festival event, our goal is to reach families.
Well, why is it, I mean, people with no children live here, so why is it just families?
Well, it's not just families, it's families in the community. So, just like you have a household, right, that you live with,
Mhm.
I mean, once you live with yourself, I'm sure you have someone else living with you. You guys are a family, you guys are more than welcome to come and enjoy, we want you to be here. The fall festival, Halloween is a child's holiday. They go out, they go trick or treating, they dress up. We gear those types of events to the younger community, because they love it. And kids, they have memories that they live off that stuff. So that's what we do. And we also do adult themed events later in the year.
And then, so with that, Kate, was there anything else? Because with that, I would like, if the board wanted to change our focus with that, we need to take board direction to changing themes, what we're planning, which I think we're gonna finally nail and discuss in September, so I think it's definitely gonna be a consideration.
Well, I mean, Brian's gonna bring back a suggestion to us in September anyways, obviously take Kate's comment into consideration.
For sure.
And then we'll look at it in September.
Yeah, if we can include something that's not gonna be, intrusive, absolutely. We'll go ahead and do that, a corner with, there's a couple of ideas that are bouncing in their head, but we'll absolutely try to include something like that.
Do you guys just prohibit, and I haven't looked at the policy on this point recently, but do y'all just prohibit BYOB, or is there like, can you have a catered alcohol event with no alcohol at all?
We covered that last time in the new rules too, and that was one question I had is, we get that asked a lot.
Yeah.
Can we have alcohol, can we bring alcohol, and what really are legal limitations, can we allow it? Because there are a lot of people who, myself included.
So just so you're aware, we tabled for many rules and procedures until September. That will be a great discussion for that September meeting.
I would say, if you have a caterer who has a license,
Correct,
you can do it, right?
And the government has a form that allows you to do a one-time event alcohol
You can get a
form.
permit, that's right, you
Yes.
can get a permit for it, you can also get your own alcohol license.
Yep.
It's a pain in the butt, but we've done that, and it actually, CDDs qualify under a civic center license, you can get the full, it's all kinds of different options, but probably the easiest is, you can either get the one-time permit, or you can hire a caterer who has the license. The problem with the CD doing it is, there's training for folks who serve the alcohol, like it's a whole thing, so it's almost easier to get the caterer.
So because this is a government, I'm
Well,
sorry.
yeah, if you're flat out prohibiting it, that's a done deal, that's a policy decision.
But if it's a government building, can you make a policy decision that goes against government rules for a government facility?
The CDD can set its own policy on whether they want to have alcohol here or not, for sure.
Interesting.
Any more comments? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Right, time is 8:04.